trying to think. Do you have any questions before we get started?
I don't think so. Nope. I'll just roll with whatever you got, and I trust you. Because yeah, I've watched some episodes in the past, and you always have good questions, so I'm
Oh, I
excited.
appreciate that. Hell yeah. Well, my first question for you to start is: do you have an unopened beverage you like to participate in the opening crack with?
I do. I have a jackpot for Loco. Oh, let's go!
Just for you, I went and picked up a Four Loco as well. This is a fruit punch Four Loco.
Oh, amazing,
Yeah,
amazing. I think I threw up one of those at some point in the early days of the band, so that's
yeah, that checks out. Funny enough, this was I was texting Brian. This is the first time that in my drinking career that I've actually bought a Four Loco. So this will be fun.
it'll fun is a word for it for sure. Yeah, awesome.
All right, so I'll count us down. We'll crack these, and then I'll do the little intro, bring you in, and we'll just have a good time.
Cool, cool, cool.
All right, three, two, one. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. Very, very stoked on this episode. Long time homie, first time on the show. Please welcome Tyler Stacho from Stars Hollow.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Dude, of course. I'm so stoked. Like we were kind of talking about, like that we're going to do this. This has been, I feel like, one that's a long time coming, and I can finally, all the times that I've ever said it on an episode, no, like Tyler and I are from like the same scene. Like I know him. Like this is proof. Like I was being truthful, not just making stuff up.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. Because
It's crazy.
did you have Emway on?
Yeah, yeah. Emway's been on
Okay.
a couple times. Enzwell's
And
been
Tiny
on.
Voices and Swell. Yeah, gotcha. So
Tiny
that
Voices not yet. That
not
one's on
yet. Okay.
that one's on the radar. That'll happen hopefully soon.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool. I
But
thought
yeah, a lot of that Wisconsin pocket I've kind of hit. A lot of a lot of mutual homies like we were kind of talking about before.
yeah.
But it's been a wild time. But for people that are unaware of Stars Hollow, one, what are you doing with your life? But two, emo from Iowa. A lot of people think Slipknot is the one only band from Iowa, but and I don't want to take away from I'm gonna butcher. I forgot their other name. There's another band from Marshalltown, also really big. I can't think of it.
Oh my gosh. Duh. Modern Life is War.
Yes, Modern Life is a War. Got to give them credit as well. But there is the third band from from Iowa of Stars Hollow that has been ripping for. I mean, we're hitting 11 years at this point, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because 2015 is when we had our first like band like practice. Um, so yeah, it's crazy to think back that 11 years, but we're here. We're still kicking.
Yeah, which I do have in my notes here because I've mentioned this a couple times before, and I know this episode we're here to talk about kind of hoping, but there's going to probably be a decent amount of lore in this as well. But in my notes here, March 15th, 2015. That was a weekender that Exit Emergency did with Square States, and the last day of that weekender was at the barn in Ames, and that was actually, if you remember, the first Stars Hollow performance. You guys didn't have any of the lyrics done. You just did
Yes.
all instrumentals, which is wild.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So I always get that one mixed up. Is that the same show that Microwave and Head North were on, or was that different?
I think it was the same one because
Because there's a lot of bands on it.
yeah, it was like a random day where it ended up being like 8 or 9 bands for
Yeah.
whatever reason at the barn, which is
Yeah,
wild.
exactly. Yeah, it was that is great because I remember like someone was running late and we needed to just like buy time or something. And so yeah, me, Jesse, and Wyatt, the members of Stars at the time, we were like, I mean, I don't have the vocals written. I don't think I can play them and sing them at the same time, even if I do have them. So I guess we're just playing instrumental. So yeah, there's like two pictures in existence of us playing with our backs like turned to the crowd because we didn't have
Yep.
words. So that's crazy. Yeah, that was like 11 years ago. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
And I mean, since then, you guys have put out a phenomenal discography. You
Thank you.
know, the first one, first EP, I'm really not that upset about it. Uh, for the diehards, that's probably always going to be a fan favorite for everyone. I know
Mhm.
that's one that I love to put on and just kind of takes me back to a good time.
Yeah,
That came
absolutely.
out in 2016. Followed by Happy Again in 2018. Uh, First LP, I Want to Live My Life, in 2021. Which I don't think I ever told you this. I really loved the little like cheekiness that you did with like the song titles and how they kind of like
Yeah.
formed that whole sentence with
Thank
the
you.
album.
Thank you. I was very proud of that, and I feel like a lot of people didn't realize that's what was happening. So I do I appreciate you saying that. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things that I don't think anyone I don't think I've ever seen on a record or someone do that before.
Mhm.
Obviously we, especially in the emo scene, we have a lot of just random titles sometimes that don't make any sense or they're super
Right.
long for no reason. But to have like that extra thought process in there to kind of tie them all together, you can't go unnoticed.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And then obviously the last release was In the Flower Bed, which came out in 2024.
Mhm.
For people that haven't checked any of that stuff out, please go do so. It is all phenomenal, and it's just great, especially the last few days listening, starting at the beginning and just kind of working the way through all the chapters of Stars Hollow, leading up to Kind of Hoping, and just obviously there's been member changes. You've always been at the forefront,
Mhm.
but just seeing the different life moments that you're in that you're talking about throughout is has been always great to listen to.
Yeah, thank you. I think that is like one of the, I don't know, cool things about being in a band for like 10 or 11 years, especially like the same band and being like the like main songwriter, lyric writer is, yeah, it literally is like snapshots of different parts of my life that are like sometimes cool to look back on. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to look back on that necessarily. But yeah, no, I appreciate you saying all that. And I think that is, yeah, that is a very important part to me, at least, that I have all these snapshots of my life kind of like immortalized now, which is
Yeah.
cool.
And then obviously before we get too kind of far into it, obviously it's not just you in Stars Hollow currently. You
Hmm.
have a few other members that couldn't be here with us today.
Hmm.
Who are they and what do they do in Stars Hollow?
Yeah. So first is Andrew Farron. He plays drums and he handles all of our like techie kind of stuff because we do like use in-ears and like some backtracks of like piano and stuff. So he handles all of that. And then there's M. Bussenmas. She is our bassist and also second vocalist, does all the, like the more like meaty screams that you hear. And then Louis Barlaw, who you probably like other people might know from like Tiny Voices, ends well, who we added 2 years ago ish to be our second guitarist. Because I got to a point where I was like, damn, I wish we had more like meat to like our songs and having another guitarist help us with that. And he's just insanely good and a good hang. So now he's there too. So it's us four.
Yeah. Well, this is where I normally say this is where we pour one out in their honor since they can't be here for us,
Oh,
be
yep.
here with us. But we don't waste alcohol, so we just take a drink in their honor.
Yep. A four loco in their honor.
But yeah, obviously Louis shreds, and I remember when you guys made that decision to kind of go from that 3 to 4 piece. How long in had you been wanting to kind of I don't know, like thicken up that guitar sound leading up to that decision?
Yeah. So I think when we recorded in the flower bed, there's just so much stuff where I was like, man, another guitar could be really helpful here. On even as far back as I'm really not that upset about it, we would track as if there was two guitars. And then it would just be like a little bit lower in the mix or buried so you wouldn't really like notice that much. But I think after in the flower bed is when I was really like, okay, I want another person. Just because a lot of what I was writing just didn't make sense if you could only hear me doing this like finger picking twinkly part without all the stuff supporting it. So I would say in the flower bed is where I was like, I want a person, like a living human here to do this with us. because yeah, previously it was like, we can get by as a three piece, no biggie. But a lot of us being a three piece was like logistics of being poor and not having a van at the age of 22, you know? Like
Yeah.
I was like, if we're a three piece, we can fit a combo amp, a bass combo, and drums, and then like two totes of merch in a minivan and be good, you know? And so yeah, so just like being older and having a trailer now and stuff, I was like, we can throw a Louis in the van and be good, you know? So we're solid.
And it works out because he's nice and small, so he can kind of just fit wherever you need to in the van. It works out
Exactly.
perfect.
Exactly. Me and Louis are like below 5'6", so we're like compact. It works out well. It's great. Short kings.
Yeah. Which I have a couple things in my notes from Louis that I need to get to. I'll probably get to later in the episode because Answell was here recently when they played
Oh, hell yeah.
Minneapolis. They crashed here, and I tried to get some good details or good questions out of him
Oh,
in the
cool.
meantime. But obviously, we're recording a couple like a week after the release of Casper. About
Yep.
I think
Just
they came
about.
out on the 13th. I know we're pretty well ahead of the album release, but by the time this comes out, everyone will have heard the album.
Mhm.
With Casper coming out, I know one there's a lot of heavy stuff behind it, which we can get into, but it also marks the this new era of Stars Hollow. I think, as you put it on one of your posts.
Mhm.
What makes this version of Stars Hollow so much different than like in the Flowerbed Stars Hollow, where I want to live my life Stars Hollow?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think one thing that makes it a lot different is like where my headspace is at, I guess. I think that this was kind of present on In the Flower Bed, but even more like doing it LP level, it feels a lot different of just like, how do I put it? There was a guy that commented on a Facebook status I posted of Star stuff recently, and he was like, keep chasing the dream, man, like in a positive way. And I was just like sat and I thought about it, and I'm like, I don't really like have a dream. I've kind of like lived the dream that I care to live, you know, with Stars. Like I got to tour with my friends. I got to meet so many people. There are people that have tattoos of Stars stuff on them, like crazy shit like that, where I'm like as much as there's a piece of me that wishes we would have gotten to like a hot mulligan or an origami angel level, like I'm pretty happy that we did anything that mattered to anyone. And so I think within the flower bed, this was a little bit there, but with this record especially, it was like I just want to do it because I want to do it, and whether people care or not, like it matters ultimately. Like I would be bummed if this like if no one cared about this, but I'm not doing it so that we can quit our jobs and go do this full time. I'm doing it because I want to write something that matters to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how I would put it. Like it's a new era in that sense of like my headspace, and then also like in the sense that I'm not out here trying to write the best like twinkly emo music for the sake of writing twinkly emo music. Like I'm writing what like comes to me and makes sense to me, and like as much as I love twinkly Midwest emo and as much as that is what we are at our core, that's not the only thing that like we love, you know? So I'd say it's in those two aspects, headspace and then like sound to a degree.
Yeah. Yeah, because if people have followed along with Stars Hollow over the years, obviously we've gotten to see you co-headline tours with crazy like so many like I don't know if idols is the right word, but people of prominence in the scene. Obviously, you've
Hmm.
done runs with like Charmer, Nice. You've done stuff with so many people that I can't list enough. You've gone to Japan. You've done all this stuff. I know one thing, as kind of probably being a little bit more in the circle of seeing things, is obviously you took the time to finish your schooling and do all that and like
Yeah.
make that career choice. And I think that's one thing that is I'm trying to think of the right words to say this. I think that's one of the things that I think is so commendable about you is like while you're still putting out all this stuff and like getting to express it in some way, you still took the time to kind of still be your own self and kind of like do your own thing. And I think
Hmm.
as much as you might not be at that level of like Hot Mulligan right now, I think you're still one of those bands that everyone loves. And I think you're not even like a band's band. I think you're still like that band that when shit like comes out that people pay attention.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to hope so. I appreciate that because no, you're totally right. I think we're kind of like we've toured with a lot of bands who have done crazy cool stuff. Like you said, like Charmer and Gami. We've played like Ho Ho Hot Mulligan and played like basement shows with Hot Mulligan and stuff like way back. Um, and like, and yeah, I kind of did take that time to like pursue my career and master's degree and stuff. But like, so many of the like emo bands that I loved, like when they did that, they just quit completely. And I was always like, why did you have to like quit completely? Like, literally you can get together with your band like once a month or something and make something, like so yeah, well I definitely appreciate what you're saying because I feel like that was sort of an intentional thing for me to be like just because I'm doing this doesn't mean I have to quit stars, like I
Hmm.
can like find a balance there. Because yeah, I mean like this record was recorded when I was like finishing my internship for grad school and like just like not far away from starting my career. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that because I think that, if you're in a band and you're listening to this, just know that you don't have to quit music to do something cool. And you also don't have to quit doing something cool in your life and career to do music. You can have both to a degree.
Yeah, it's all about just making sure you have that I don't know, like hindsight and like be able to plan it out because like that's one of the bummer things like you mentioned is the amount of bands that we've listened to over the years that have been like, oh, okay, well this life thing came up, and granted, some things are more drastic in life than other things, but
Right.
if it's like a minor thing and then you're like, oh, well this band's done, like we were going to part ways. It's really a bummer because you know that there's so much left in the tank that they could
Yeah.
probably be doing, and it probably sounds a little selfish as a fan to say that, but at the same time, like it's good shit that we want to listen to.
No, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's, oh, who was I talking to? Oh, um, Quinn from the band Red Sun. Um, like is going to school to be like a lawyer, like and at one point had reached out to me just asking like, what's the like I don't know, like reality of being able to like chase your dream in that sense and with the band, like balancing that. And yeah, I just think that like he probably will soon be also proof that yeah, you can like still do those really important things and make incredible music that matters. And yeah, and I hope that becomes more of a pattern because it just like I just know so many people who dropped everything to try to do the thing and just didn't quite get there. And like that's okay. It's just like I think putting all of your weight into something without any weight anywhere else can be like I don't know. I don't want to say it's like a bad thing because if that fulfills you, that's all that matters. But for the people where like that's all that matters and then it falls short and you're like wrecked from it, like that part's a bummer, I guess is what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say. But yeah.
yeah, and then I mean I know some people in general just don't like touring.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just because well at least now it's a little bit different than like how it was in the early days of you touring where at least now Airbnbs are a thing.
Hmm.
Getting that like pass to like Planet Fitness to go shower, like you can kind of make accommodations as you go, but like I know some people that just hated being in the van or like having to sleep in the
Yeah.
van and do all that stuff, and it's like okay, like I get it, your band is gonna possibly just become like an album band and not maybe fully touring around it, which can
Right.
still work for a lot of people.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you have to strike this really weird balance because like on one hand I notice and see the difference that it's made that we don't tour as much as we used to. It just touring was just such a big thing for us. And when COVID hit, like we just felt that like really impact the band. And even now I notice like the lack of touring definitely translates to a lower level of interest from the outside world. which is natural. That's not like a thing I'm like, oh, this is bullshit. Like it makes sense. So it's yeah, I think it's just about finding a balance about what is important to you and what you're willing to like sacrifice and keep, you know.
Mhm.
Because yeah, touring matters if you're an emo band. That's just like the reality. But that doesn't mean you have to like kill your band just because you can't tour as much as you used to.
Right. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of good moments for people listening right now. If you're a young band, take some notes because there's gonna probably a few other moments that I'm going to bring up here. But obviously, like we said, Casper was the first single off of kind of hoping, which has been one amazing to listen to. It's I mean, compared to a lot of the other songs on this record, uh, the first single for people listening, if you haven't checked out the rest of the record, like I know they're like, well, this isn't Stars. It's like it definitely shows like a different side of you,
Yeah.
and Stars is in general. But it's such a good song, and then obviously hearing the whole story behind it
Mhm.
about your cat Casper that had passed away. I think you said right before the song was fully done.
So we had recorded it, and then like a few months after we finished recording, he passed away. And so the song was about like very much about him and his life and how much I was like in a weird way like jealous that I didn't have like no cares and someone who just loved me deeply and so like just all these things that he had. And so it was a weird song about like that sort of like a little bit of jealousy but also this like man like you have this great life and I'm part of that life and that's great. But then when he died, because the song originally wasn't going to be named after him, it was just going to be called
Mm,
something else, just because I was like, okay, like, you know, I don't want to, like, I don't know what it is. Sometimes if I make song titles too personal, I'm like, that's weird, even though it's not. But after he died, I listened to the song because we were getting like the mixes figured out and everything. And I was like, this is his song, like 100%. Like, it wouldn't exist if he wasn't in my life. And so yeah, so I felt like it was just appropriate to name it after him, especially because it's one of those things where like you know sometimes you hear a song over and over, and then something big happens in your life, and it just feels different, like something
yeah.
changes about it. And it happened with that song where I was like, yeah, it means this thing. It's mainly about me being depressed as shit, you know. But it became after he died, it became so much more about like that relationship, connection, and love that I had with this little creature that like I like we were each other's world, you know, for like 5 years. So yeah, ultimately to say I've rambled a little bit, but that's ultimately the story behind that, and yeah, not like a normal Stars Hollow song. Like we had an Instagram commenter complaining that it's not a Stars Hollow song, and I was like, yeah, sorry. Like I don't know what to tell you. I like Title Fight. I like Turnover. I like creepy shoegazy shit sometimes. So it happens, but yeah.
I mean, at the same time, wasn't it like at the kind of in the flower bed? There's a couple tracks on there that aren't fully Stars Hollow songs too. I feel like there's
Oh,
one on
for
there that's
sure.
that's a little bit more like hardcore version of Stars Hollow, and then there's one that's kind of like a I want to say with like a little bit of synthiness to it. Like I think the last
Yeah.
track. Uh,
Yes. Yeah. No, that's spot on. Sickening is like literally me being like, I like heavy music. I want to write a heavy song, like that still sounds sort of like a Stars Hollow song. And then the last song, I think, is in the flower bed. Sorry, I should know that it's my band, but
I think it
um,
is in the flower bed.
but but yeah, no, the whole like last part is this like break beaty, like electronic-y thing with oboe and synth and stuff, and because I'm really into like breakcore, which is like breakbeat electronic music stuff. And by really into it, I listen to like two artists constantly, not like a lot. Um, but but yeah, no, I think that's a thing that's been there for a little while of just like, yeah, I like other types of music and I want that to show. I don't want to just like take the blueprint of an American football song and reskin it onto Stars Hollow at this point, you know?
Right.
Like, yeah. So yeah, I think it's been there for a while, but I think that like with an LP, more people are paying attention. And so more people are more likely to be like, hey, this isn't Tadpole. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like that's a good song. I'm proud of it. But like, yeah, I don't care to write the exact same song again.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
And as a listener, obviously no shade to whoever commented that, but like as a listener, you kind of, as much as you love certain things, like I said, I'm really not that upset about it. Is It means so much to me just because of the time, that era that came out, and the tour that we did, and I got to see it pretty much every night. So like that album
Yeah.
always is going to mean something to me.
Yeah.
But for you to, if you were to write kind of hoping in that same style, yeah, it would have been sick. But at the same time, it's like, well, he's been doing the same thing for 10 years. Like,
10 years, yeah.
where's the new influences that are going to progress it? Like we see it kind of with obviously Red Sun on their last album, how they've changed the sound. We've seen Ben Quad do it over the last few releases.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you want to see in an artist and someone that you follow, is like changing with the times in their own way.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's such a good way to put it. And yes, to be clear, Instagram commenter, no shade. Like I get where you're coming from, but also just as a songwriter, it's like, yeah, it's good. We're gonna change. It's gonna be different. And you've heard the record, so like there are some songs that are closer to that. Casper is definitely an outlier, but that's like what I call like the coworker song. Like I can show that to like a coworker or a normal person and they're like, "Ooh, that's a good tune,"
Yeah.
like versus like our next single, which is Catch Me, is like I think it's very catchy. It's one of my favorite Star songs ever, but also it starts with me screaming like really like weirdly and yeah. So yes, no shade to Instagram commenter. I get where you're coming from. Just, there's other songs. It'll be okay.
Yeah, I think once they listen to obviously the next single and like the rest of the album, I think that Instagram commenter will be a little bit more content, because Casper is, like you said, that one kind of outlier. But I think it's also, it works so well to be the first one of just like, hey, this is that new era, and then being like, hey, we're gonna sound a little bit different on this one. Don't worry,
Yeah.
like it'll come back around, but like just check this out first.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing. I think like if people don't like it, I really truly am okay with that. Um I think it's more so like if you don't like it, feel free to listen to our other stuff and move on. It just doesn't really do any service to anyone to be like, "Hey, this sucks. You should sound like Tadpole again" or something, like I'm never going to do that. Like I like Midwest emo, but like 2018 me that wrote that song is very different than 2025 me that wrote those songs, you
Right.
know. Cuz that's 7 years. Like that's
Yeah.
7 years difference. But yeah, I think you're totally right. Casper is like that outlier that sort of signals like, okay, things are a little different now, but check this out, give it a chance. If you don't like it, there's other stuff on this record that you might, you know. And that's okay.
Yeah. And I know you said obviously "Catch Me" is the next single, which I is also a great song. Right now, obviously this is 12 songs. We'll kind of get into a little bit deeper, but I was trying to think about like my top song off of this, and I think it's kind of tough. I just because I've heard Casper's being so much more accessible lately, since it's now on streaming. That one's kind of keeps
Right.
bumping its way. I think "Play Pretend" is a fantastic song, and then "Blue Huron" is also just an amazing song. Especially, I think that's one that I enjoyed a little bit more once I got the headphones in and just could fully like
Oh, for
kind
sure.
of experience it all on its own. But yeah, other than that, it's been tough to try and think of like the top song off of this album.
Yeah. And Play Pretend is the third single, so people will have probably heard it.
Yeah,
And that's so funny that you say that about Blue Heron because because um Andrew, our drummer, he kind of started showing a few of them to some friends. And he also so he basically came back to us and was like, me and our friend Dan, he's like, we think this song Blue Heron sucks. I was like, what? Like that song rips. It's so cool. It's another one of those like different ones. Like it's not like twinkly Midwest emo just like in your face or something. But But it's so funny you say that because in my brain I'm like, oh, that's the one people will probably skip over. And
Mhm.
but yeah, Play Pretend, honestly, like I think Play Pretend is probably, I think, objectively one of the best Stars Hollow songs like ever so far. It's just very like it leans more pop punk and is very like catchy and clean in that way. But it's cool to hear your perspective on that because yeah, like you said before, like this is we're recording this before it's released. So all of the opinions that I have about the songs are like not influenced by outside things yet. Because,
Mhm.
as a band, you eventually do get that way where, like, you're like, oh, I really like this song. And then you see a bunch of people like it, or they like a song you didn't like and you like it more. So right now, I'm very pure in my brain. So hearing that you like Blue Heron is number one, great, because I was like, no one's gonna like that song, I guess. But number two, just like surprising, because yeah, I was like, oh, there's gonna be songs that because I think that's one thing that we do on this record. It is like we explore different pockets of genres here and there. And that's one that does a little bit of like the post-hardcore kind of
Mhm.
exploration a little bit. But yeah, thank you for that. I I just assumed no one would like that song, so that's great.
And I mean, it could be just because I'm that secret hardcore kid at heart, where
Mhm.
it's a little bit heavier, like you said, than the rest of the album. 'Cause so it kind of stands out in its own regard. Is there a song on here that you feel like is a sleeper track that no one's gonna really
Ooh,
go to right away, besides maybe Blue Huron?
that's that's a good question. I think it's interesting because recording is weird sometimes because you go into the studio and you're like, this song's gonna be so good and crazy, and then it turns out and you're like, okay, it's good and I'm proud of it, but it's not as good as my mind thought it would be someday.
Hmm.
And I think the song that's like that I think still truly is really good, but my brain just is like at odds with how it turned out versus how I pictured it. Is the song Flip Phone.
Mm.
I think there were just some things that I wish I did differently on it. But I think that one's really good and is like a sleeper that maybe people will gravitate towards. And then the other one, it's not a single, but the first song is called ILTF. I think that one is going to be like a non-single like thing that draws people in. Just because it's a little more catchy, has some kind of like wild guitar stuff at the end with like a wah pedal. I'd say those two because I think the singles are all like natural. Like I feel like people will resonate with those to some degree, but those are the two where I'm like, okay, maybe like people will be drawn to those still too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then you know, like I said, it's such a solid album that like there's no skips throughout this whole thing. So I know obviously we're talking about some of these singles being Catch Me, Casper, Play Pretend, which are the front half, but keep for people listening or that haven't checked it out, go past those. There's so many gems still at that back half that are needing their attention and are super solid. Like obviously, like you said, Flip Phone is one of those. I think the last song Over is a really good closing track that hopefully a lot of people also enjoy.
Thank you.
Because I know it's tough with especially with LPs to keep people's attention the entire time, and I think you
Oh, for
did
sure.
really well on it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I don't know. That's like one of those like 10 years ago versus now things that I notice is it is really hard to like write a whole record or any group of songs and get people to the end.
Hmm.
Like even if your record is good, feels good. And honestly, like our record is 12 songs, which I think like in the modern like era, like probably not the best idea because getting people through 12 songs is hard. Um, but at the same time, we were like, yeah, it's 12 songs that we're proud of. But yeah, no, you're totally right. It's just like we did kind of front load the singles on the first half, and that wasn't really intentional. We just kind of like sequenced it, and then we're like, okay, like these make sense. And I remember like when I was a teenager, Armor for Sleep had like the first three songs on their record were their three singles.
Hmm.
And I remember like that really did draw me in, and it did get me to listen past it. Because at that point I was like, well, I wonder what the rest sounds like, you know. So I think that was kind of like what leaned us to like still being okay with doing like three in a row on the A side. Because I was like, Armor for Sleep, baby. If they did it, I can do it. It's okay. But I appreciate you saying that because yeah, I think that like when you write 12 songs, you're gonna have your favorites, and the songs that aren't your favorites, sometimes you feel like this weird like guilt or this also kind of like doubt about like are those as good? Like are people gonna like those? But I'm still proud of that half the record, and I appreciate you saying that. And also, I'm just gonna point out I've been sipping this Four Loco. I'm not much of a drinker these days. Like if you knew me back in the day when I was like, I'm gonna
When
go, I'm
when
gonna
you were literally
party.
Tyler for Loco.
Oh yeah, I was known as like the Four Loco, Eight Loco guy, you know.
Yep.
Um, these days I drink once every couple months, and maybe it's like two drinks or something. And so let me tell you, the 11 a.m. Four Loco is kind of hitting. So you're gonna get me pretty loose here pretty soon. So so ask the good questions, you know.
Hell yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I did make sure to eat before this because it got to like 10:30 and I was like, oh shit, I haven't eaten yet today, and I'm
Oh,
about
dude,
to drink a Four Loco. So
you're so smart. All I've done today is I took a bath, I set up my microphone, and I drank a Four Loco. So that's you're gonna get the real unedited Tyler Stodgill today.
ooh, we'll get into maybe some dirt here in a second. Then uh, one cool thing with this one, and I know all maybe not all, but the majority of the previous records have all been had album artwork done by the great Alexis Politz
Hmm.
from Minneapolis. On this one, the cover art, kind of takes a little bit of a shift. It is a painting that you had done,
Hmm.
and I have Josh Sorrell, which came out amazing.
Yeah.
It depicts like a kind of what I in my mind is like a person kind of what I think is like falling through maybe like a dream sequence.
Hmm.
But like, what is the story behind it, and like why did you decide to go this route besides having like your typical artwork done?
Yeah. So yeah, first clear shot, like you said, Alexis Politz has done all of our art up until now. Does tons of our merch designs. Also, she did do work on this, like with the graphic design and then also merch stuff. Um, so it was one of those things where it was really weird to like do album art with someone else. I think it was partially that thought of like, I want this to be different. Like,
Hmm.
I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over because we've worked with Alexis for 10 years at this
Oh,
point. She did, I'm really not that upset about it. And then since then, we've just been with Alexis. And which amazing artist, I respect her so much. And so us doing it with someone else wasn't any kind of like, oh, I don't like this anymore because I still love her work. Um, I think I just wanted something different. And then Josh, I went to like a tattoo convention a few years back to get a tattoo, and he had a booth of just like his paintings, and they're all very like I don't know art that well, but I think they're like impressionist kind of like paintings of people that aren't like realistic necessarily. A lot of them are missing face details, but there's like kind of like auras of color. And honestly, like it made me think a lot of like mental health things. It just kind of gave me that vibe of just like that wellness and mental health and things like that, but not in like a hippity dippity, like, yeah, kind of way. Um, and for those who don't know, I'm a mental health counselor, so I think that's why I like partially gravitate towards that. But I bought one of his works there. And then when we were thinking about this record, I thought about like visually, like conceptually, what made sense. And the record is, I think it's kind of got two parts to it. One part is mental health and my journey with being diagnosed with bipolar. At this point, I'm not positive how accurate that diagnosis was, but that carried so much weight for me because my grandma, my dad's mom, was diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar, just lots of stuff. And I kind of came to this weird like guilt and reckoning with the way that she was kind of treated in life because she was basically like not part of our family. And it just like when I was diagnosed with bipolar, it made me so sad to think about what she had gone through without support and love of our family. Because when I told my mom, she was like, "Okay, cool," like. But back then it was different. Like if you like had these like symptoms and you were a woman, especially, they were like, "Okay, go away, lock her up, like do something." And so the record is a lot about number one, that feeling of like falling and not having anything to catch you when you're kind of having these like mental health episodes. I would say like it just like that wanting to be held and caught by somebody, and not feeling like you're alone in that. And then the way that my grandma's experience kind of like influenced that for me. And so I really wanted Josh to capture sort of that like falling and just hoping someone's there to catch you sort of like feeling. And well, honestly, he did an amazing job. It's hanging in my bedroom now, but it's like this huge painting, like this big. And admittedly, it was a little expensive because, it's an artist doing a commission of like a full painting. But it's one of the parts of the record that I really don't regret whatsoever because like it just captured it so well. I think I kind of lost my train of thought here ultimately, but ultimately to say we went with Josh because new era, new feel, and also his work just kind of encapsulated like that feeling that I wanted to portray with, yeah, just like the weight of having mental health issues that are kind of stick can feel like, man, I just hope someone's there to like catch me when everything goes bad. Yeah, that's that. I've never thought about it that deeply before, so this is a very raw thing. But there
Yeah,
it
shout out For Loco.
is. Shout out for a look. So true.
No, but yeah, Josh killed it on this artwork, and
Oh yeah,
it just looks. I don't know. I like we said, Alexis has done amazing things, but I think kind of hoping this had to be what it is. I think Alexis probably could have done something to pull it off as well. And obviously she does. She's done the merch designs for kind of hoping's release as well. But Josh just knocked it out of the park with
oh
this,
yeah,
and it's awesome too that not only was it just like you know a visual still that is an album artwork, but you have the full painting that you get to basically now
yeah,
hang on to, and that's another keepsake of kind of how we talked about earlier, all the kind of like accomplishments that you've done in the band, and at some point, when you're old and talking to kids or grandkids or
yeah,
whatever your life choices end up being, you can be like, this is we did this.
yeah, yeah. No, it's so funny you say that because I had a Facebook memory pop up, and this is one that you will appreciate. It was about trying to get people to like the Facebook page for Survival Soundtrack. And I had said like, yeah, like do this so that like my kid, I can show this to my kids and they'll think I'm cool someday, like about survival. And so no, that's like spot on. I think that is something that's always been important to me of like having some sort of like permanent proof that I created something that mattered to anyone, but especially to myself. And Josh's painting is exactly that of like, hey, I know you don't care about this because you're 6 years old and you're probably watching like Brain Rot or something, but like, yeah, this is real and it mattered. And someone put their skills and work to make this happen alongside what we were doing. Yeah. So I appreciate you saying that because that has been on my mind a lot.
And then also, I'd be remiss, shout out remiss, that I was when I was scrolling through things to try and find that March 15th date. I came across the show flyer for Remiss's last show, and I like almost shed a tear for it.
Dude, so yeah, sorry. I think I keep going on long-winded answers, but quick sidebar, Remiss, I miss that band so much. I loved that band. I know that ultimately in hindsight, very much a Title Fight, like we really want to sound like Title Fight or Balance and Composure, but they did it so well.
Yeah.
and it was just so good. Sorry, continue. I just
No,
wanted to throw
no,
it out there.
you're
Listen to
totally fine.
Remiss.
Yeah, you're totally fine in saying that because like also to keep this tangent going, like that era of just shit that was popping off in the Iowa scene and like in emo in general was just super sick. And then to have everyone come together for Remiss's last show, like I remember Molly's Worst Enemy pulled up, but they made sure like it wasn't about them because
Right.
obviously Molly's Worst Enemy at the time was
They were
still
popping.
RIP to them. Like they were popping. But they did a full Rage Against the Machine cover set instead because they were like, we're not playing our own shit. We're here for Remiss, which I thought was like super baller and like a friend
That
move
is.
to be like, it's about them, not about us. But yeah. But anyways, I'd be remiss in not bringing up the the new vinyl variants that you have for this record. That the color, like the obviously the mock-ups show a certain thing, but the pictures that you posted, I think yesterday, show that perfectly as to how well these colors are going to tie into this artwork.
Yeah.
Because that's always my big thing. Whenever I'm trying to get like a new variant of something, is like I want the colors to kind of tie into the artwork in some way, and I
Yeah.
think whoever did the pressing for these like knocked it out of the park. It flows so well.
Oh, that actually, thank you so much. So with variants, like, so we don't have a label right now. This was all like us figuring shit out for the first time. Um, but we were all kind of in agreement that we wanted everything to at least somehow relate to the artwork, like whether it be just like color palette wise or just kind of like vibe wise. And M, I think M wanted this like blue smoke variant, which the mock-up looks like shit. Like to be honest, like the so A to Z Media pressed the vinyl for us. Shouts out to them because honestly, great customer service, affordable. Only downside is they don't press in the U.S. I would have preferred to go with like a union-based great pressing plant in the U.S., but like we couldn't afford it, with what we were doing. So if you can do that, if not, A to Z is great. But yeah, they sent the mock-up of the blue smoke, and I was looking at it, and I was like, "That just looks gray." Like I don't, and so like I was like, "Well, whatever, it is what it is." But I got that FedEx shipment yesterday of the records, and I opened the blue smoke, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like this is so sick." And that's been like I think one of the coolest parts of releasing this ourselves is that like I get this shit straight to my door. I get to see it right away. I know that it was our hard work that got it there, which is really cool. But yes, thank you because we put a lot of thought into making sure those variants were like relevant and like good to look at alongside the artwork.
I know I ordered the splatter variant, and I saw that color in color one, and I was like, "Fuck." I think I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to try and order that one still and add it to the list.
I can. Well, you're doing this for us. Hold on, I'm gonna make a note. I'll send you one with yours if you want.
Dude, love you. Hell yeah.
Because ultimately, because what we put on the store is always like some degree less than what we ordered, just in case there's like issues. But I think everything came fine, so I'm gonna write down that I need to send you the but you mean like this like A and B black, white, red one?
Yep.
Okay, I got you. Yep, I got you. Benefits of doing a podcast: you get stuff.
Hell
You
yeah.
probably don't always get stuff, but I'm gonna
I
send you
don't
stuff
always get
because
stuff.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
The very few times I do get stuff is very appreciated. I don't make money from this, as everyone knows, and I'm not asking for stuff. I didn't ask for anything. I just said I was going to pay for it. I do want to
Nope,
point out.
yep, nope. This is
Yeah. I do want to point out one thing too. So the day that you that everything went live, I was that like maybe that was sometime I can't remember what day of the week that was that you announced everything. But I had looked at my email and there was I had a message from Bandcamp saying, "Hey, there's a new message here from Stars Hollow," and I was like, "Oh shit, I think it's happening." So I looked at it. It kind of said, "Hey, we have new stuff coming out." And I went to your Twitter to try and like confirm it, and then all you had was just all that was at the top post was just the one from the night before saying, "Hey, see you guys in the morning," type
yeah.
deal. And so I was like, okay. So then I went to the website. everything was already posted, so I quickly just ordered mine, and then I immediately sent the link to Brian, and I was like, "Hey, it's time. Go get your shit."
It's time.
So like me and Brian had shit ordered before you even posted that like the records were
Let's
were
go.
live.
Yeah, I think we so like I play Magic like Commander nights on Thursday nights, and so I was stressing really hard about getting shit posted at midnight because I low key did want people who care enough about the band and who pay attention to be able to just get their shit right away, you know. And so like we sent out like a Squarespace because that's what we use for our website, like subscriber email, just being like, hey, at midnight this stuff's all going up. And then on Bandcamp we did some stuff of like, hey, this will be available. And so yeah, so I appreciate number one you being like rally the troops, let's go, because that's kind of what we wanted. We wanted to make sure because that black white red one, it's already like 2/3 of the way sold out, you know, and it's like first single, you know, we haven't played shows or anything, so yeah, and that's the reason why. And it, how do I put it? Stuff like that makes it so that continuing to like promote the release and do what we can feels less risky
Hmm.
because at this point we have enough like support financially that will be okay
Yeah.
like after pressing these records. So just to illuminate that side a little bit of being your own label kind of, it's not cheap, and people giving a shit and getting on it like when they're excited and quick like and want it is so helpful. It's great. So I appreciate you.
Now, now to kind of bounce off of that, and obviously you don't have to go super deep into this. Um, for the last few releases, you guys did go through labels, and I think the people you worked with were great and phenomenal.
Mhm.
But when this one came about, I know the big thing around it was, hey, we're doing this ourselves. We're putting our own money into it. Was there a specific reason why you didn't want to tie yourselves to another label or get that kind of like assistance again?
Yeah, so there's a couple parts to this. I think number one is trying to think of what kind of order to do this in. So we used to work with Acrobat Unstable. Acrobat Unstable. Sorry, my nose is going crazy. Acrobat Unstable. Shouts out Marty. Marty is one of my favorite people, one of the best people I know who truly tries their best to do what they can for the bands,
Hmm.
which is, I think it's just incredible. And I love Marty. Like, so anything I say beyond this is zero shade to Marty. Other people who worked with Acrobat took took money from some of the bands during the pandemic. And I don't want to say the other bands just for the sake of them. Like, I want them to have their power over talking about this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are very open about it. But yeah, just if you really want to know, just look up who was working with Acrobat Unstable in 2020 to 2024, or 2023. But yeah, so some things happened there with like financials being taken. It didn't affect us as much as other bands. Because I was going to grad school, we were like figuring other stuff out. We didn't feel it the same way that other bands might have, you know? And so ultimately to say, when I say that, the current people involved in Acrobat Unstable are not in any way to blame for that. That
Hmm.
is in no way their fault at all. But ultimately to say that like that along with like them kind of having their own lives and their own priorities kind of led me to want to look to other places. Not in like a hateful like fu kind of way because we worked with them for In the Flower Bed, you know, it
Yeah.
wasn't like bad blood or anything. But just like I just wanted to make sure that we were doing what was best for us. And so we did shop it around a little bit. We got some interest from some people. At the time, we still owed money on the recording process. And so like I think that it was like souring it for a lot of people that like we still owed money on that part, which is totally fair. And I completely understand. After we got it paid off, we did talk to some labels as well. We talked to Keith from Count Your Lucky Stars at one point, and I had like a really great Zoom call with him where like you know, he talked about like the reality of what a label can do for a band at a certain level, and like it's all stuff I agreed with him on. Like some bands expect that a label, even a small one, should do all your PR, all your social media, all this stuff that you can't expect them to do.
Hmm.
And so I went into that knowing that, but Keith also said, ultimately at the end of the day, here's what we can do for you. At the end of the day, you are going to care about your music and your band more than anyone ever will. And as much as I love this record and I love your band and I want to support you, I want you to know that that option is there too. So, first, huge shouts out to Keith for being such a transparent and real person about that because I've looked up to Count Your Lucky Stars for years. Like they put out like like my favorite Brave Bird records. They put out just so much stuff that I respect. Like I have like 7-inch splits that were all Count Your Lucky Stars stuff that I was like, this is amazing. It would have been so easy for Keith, someone who is talking to like a 30-year-old who loved emo music back in like 2014 to be like, yeah, we're Count Your Lucky Stars, come on, like, you know. But he was real and he was like, yeah, like you guys are going to care about your band more than anyone and you guys have a history and not necessarily a following, but there's like a degree of like reliability there with people who
Hmm.
care about your band. And so after that talk, I kind of took it back to the band, and it was a little bit of a mixed bag as far as like what we should do because we did sink a lot of money into recording, realistically. But at this point, girl math situation, we spent that money, it's gone, it never existed. I don't care about it. So yeah, we kind of ultimately landed on doing it ourselves knowing that we would have to put a lot of work and effort in that we didn't plan on putting in initially. But I think after receiving the records, I feel like 1000% confident in our decision.
Hmm.
It just feels so good to know that it was like our work that got it there. And, you know, like ultimately at the end of the day, we could have hired a PR person or something to help with that stuff separately from a label. We had lots of options. I just don't think labels are like as necessary as people think, but they're not also not as evil as people think all the time. You know, I
Yeah.
think there's a balance there. So ultimately to say we did not work with the label this time, partially because I think the initial wave of us reaching out to people had decreased interest because we still owed money on something. And then, you know, after having like some real conversations with label owners, it just made sense to do it ourselves. And yeah, I just kind of decided like if there's ever anything in this world I care about enough to do this for, it's this band, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I think this record is very much like a labor of love in that aspect, you know. So yeah.
Uh, so my Faro Loco is starting to hit. So take this answer as you will for everyone listening. I think I think it's amazing that you're able to pull this off without a label. For one,
Mm,
I think people listening, like we said, not all labels are bad. I know there's in the past few years we've heard of a lot of shitty labels, and thankfully, you know, a lot of the ones that have gotten been shitty have kind of gone defunct and are kind of out of the way. And you
mm,
kind of talk around, you'll find the right labels to deal with.
mm,
I think one thing that benefited you, and I think Keith kind of possibly was hinting at it at the same time, is you guys have been around for so long where you guys have a maintained followership. And I feel like I kind of mentioned that earlier too, where I think if you guys weren't at this level, because I'm trying to like put this in perspective to bands that are maybe like starting out that are like, oh, we should press vinyl ourselves and we
mm,
could do this if they could afford it. I think the one thing that kind of sets it apart is you guys have been around for long enough where you guys have a name to yourselves, and I
mm,
think the benefit you guys benefited from having those labels in the early stages as the
mm,
name was kind of getting out there to kind of get that kicking off point. I think we kind of see that same thing with real friends over the last few years. They've kind
Yeah.
of shifted away from being on a label. Obviously, they were on like Pure Noise for quite a while, and they were like doing big tours, but they're at that point where they branched off enough where they can self-release everything and know that, hey, people are still going to give a shit because we've amassed this following, and I think that's one thing that you guys have benefited from in that same aspect. So as much as, depending on what people are trying to do, yes, labels, you don't need to go through a label all the time. If you're trying to do that vinyl run, maybe find a label that fits right for you.
Yes. Yeah.
But also at the same aspect, vinyl is not always the end goal. I've told a lot of bands too, like tapes are coming back. Tapes are still like that novelty. I think I counted the other day, I have like 30 tapes. I don't even have a tape player. I just have them, which I need to get a tape player. And it's just one of those things where I'll pick up a tape as like a bigger guy because I'll take a tape over a shirt that's not going to look right on the body.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, and you're totally right. Like in general, like other forms of media are coming back. Like I have been shocked. Like when we played Fest last October, yeah. We sold more CDs than anything else. Like that shook me.
That's wild.
Because we went, okay, so back in time, we went to Japan back in like 2019, I believe, and played a tour. And when we were over there, we only brought, as far as physical media, we only had tapes. Because we were like, when we're in the US, that's all people want. They want tapes or vinyl. We don't have vinyl. Let's take tapes. In Japan, every single person who came to our table wanted a CD. Every single one. I'm not kidding. I'm talking like a substantial number of people that walked away with nothing because we didn't have a CD. And I remember being like, that's like our biggest regret there. And being like, well, in the US, at least it's not like that. So whatever, like, we'll be okay. We have these tapes, we have vinyl now, whatever. CDs have made such a big comeback. It's crazy. Like, I did a poll on Instagram of like, if you could buy a tape, a CD, or you only buy vinyl or whatever. CD won. Like, more people would buy, like, people still absolutely buy tapes because I would rather buy a tape than a CD any day. But CDs have come back in such a way where it's like, yeah, if you cannot press vinyl, if you can do tapes and CDs, people are going to still be happy. They just want physical media, you know? And so, yeah, no, that's so true. Because I think that it's such a hard balance to strike because I think you can do a lot of things on your own as a band that you maybe don't believe that you can. If you have everyone in your band throw in like $500, which is money. Like it's not like it's nothing, but it's like not like egregious. Like you won't lose your home or your apartment if you put $500 into a fund. You can really like grow your band in a lot of ways. Like being in a band, not a financial thing, like at its core, but it helps it run. I'm just claiming what I'm about to say with that. If everyone in your band puts in like $500 or even like $200, you buy a run of merch, you sell that merch, it can grow into enough money to buy vinyl or something, you know? You don't need a label for that kind of stuff. But if you have a label that's good people or a good person who is willing to fairly work with you and you're a young band or a new band, there's nothing wrong with that either. You know, it's totally okay. You just got to watch out for the ones that are like very weird about giving you your cut of money or who are like very weird about, because Acrobat Unstable was always great about like we got a certain percentage of records for free to just sell at our shows. And I found out some labels don't do that, like smaller ones, and I was like, what the hell? It's your music. Like they could at least give you 10% of the pressing to sell yourself, you know? Again, long-winded way to say you don't need a label. If you find a good label, they're not all bad. Just find out what works best for you, you know?
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask those questions to the label. Don't just take the contract and be like, okay, this is what the stipulations are. Just have those conversations, and also just ask around. A lot of the people in the scene right now have probably either talked to that label, been a part of that label in some way. I know that there's smaller ones popping up here and there, but there, if you're going to a maybe like that mid tier, I know where emo's like it's a whole
Yeah.
hierarchy, but you know what
Right.
the specific level, just ask around. There's a lot of decent labels in the scene, as much as labels some people can say are bad. I think a lot, like I said, I think a lot of the bad ones are gone. But at the same time, I think the one thing that I would probably suggest, and this is me as someone that's not been in a band but only does podcasting for talking to bands, hiring a PR person or someone like that, that one's debatable for me because I'm like, as someone from an outsider, I'm more prone to just email you directly than go through
Yeah.
a PR person, because your PR person either isn't doing what they need to or it's just a waste of money. Honestly, I feel like, because you could easily, I'm an email away. If someone wanted
Yeah.
to come on, it's just a simple thing. You don't need a PR person to send me a bunch of stuff. Just I most of my emails that I get are like, "Hey, dude, love the show. This is
Yeah.
who we are." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know who you guys are. Let's fucking do this."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just being conscious of what you're spending.
Yep. Yeah, because it's like sometimes PR, they can be helpful if you want that weight off your back, but also like if you're a smaller band, a lot of the time it's better to just build those relationships anyway, you know? Um, and then on top of that, some PR people will tell you to just make TikToks, you know? You don't need,
Which I mean, I'm in the presence of a new TikTok budding
oh
star right now. At the same
God,
time,
I hate it so much. Like it's so bad. This is like the emo boomer in me, but I miss when you could just fucking put something on Bandcamp, have a bunch of people show up to your basement shows, and life was good.
yeah,
But now it's like, nah, dude, you got to make that TikTok where you're pretending to sing your song as if you recorded it at home, even though you recorded it for thousands of dollars at a studio. Like, sorry. Anyway, ultimately to say anything music business wise makes sense at a certain point. If you're like a brand new band, you'll be fine without it probably. But
yeah. No,
yeah,
I love you going into that, because like it's the tough thing with where we are right now in society, I guess. Because like you said, but back in the day, we would just release something, put it on Bandcamp. You would throw it up into the Defend Pop Punk group and be like, "This is my band. This is the new
yep,
record," and then be like, "Yo, this is where we're gonna play," and then just people would flock. And now it's, yeah, you got to make those shorts. You got to do all that stuff. I'm such an old head still, and mainly because I haven't wanted to learn how to do it. I don't. Obviously, people that follow this know I don't make clips. I do the audio version. I do the video version. That's what you
yep,
get, because I'm not a content creator that's trying to do a podcast. I'm a podcast person that's just trying to put out material.
yeah, right.
And like that's the tough thing with today's almost society.
Yeah, yeah, no, it really is. It's like I want to give Louis credit for this because he said it, and I always think it's very funny. You have to give people their Coco Melon, you know, like that stupid YouTube crap that like 2 year olds watch because it's overstimulating. Like you have to give people their Coco Melon because otherwise, like you need 15 seconds of like just zapping their brain for them to care sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
End of the day, like I still, I really do hate it, and like it bums me out sometimes when I see really good bands who work really hard not get their flowers because they don't do that, you know.
Well, and then even on the other side of that is the tough thing is a band can go and do this whole TikTok promoting like a single or an album, but people don't care about it, and then the band will do a TikTok of something unrelated that's just completely stupid. Like you could record a video of Louis doing anything, and it could
Yeah,
get millions of views, and people will find you from that. And it's like I spent no time doing that video, and I spent so much time doing an actual promotional video
yeah.
for nothing.
No, that's spot on. That's so spot on. And I just had an experience with this recently where on our I'm gonna call it Twitter forever. I'm never gonna call it X.
Oh
So
yeah,
on our Twitter, I posted about wishing that there was more access to chili cheese dogs. Like because I wish it was as accessible as cheeseburgers, is all I was trying to say.
Yep.
And that got like a couple thousand
Yeah,
likes
that thing's blowing up.
and a bunch of discussion. Whereas me posting about like our music gets like 40 or 50 tops, you know,
Yeah.
like, and I think social media in general has been like, I don't know, a bummer in that sense over time of just like, we're all just slaves to this algorithm. And no matter how great or authentic what you're creating is, you gotta try to do what you can.
Oh yeah. Dude,
But
there'll be times where I'll post about a new episode on Twitter and get maybe like one, two likes, maybe
yeah,
sometimes a retweet, and then I'll get drunk and post some unhinged thoughts. Not like
yeah,
super like unhinged, but just like funny thoughts. And then it just blows up out of nowhere. Like I don't get like as many likes as you did on the chili dog one, which was funny.
uh,
But like it'll just blow up out of nowhere. I'll get like 50 likes on it. I'm like, go to the last tweet.
go to this and go.
Like
Yeah,
just put it on an episode today. I'm hammered right now, but just go look at that.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We're having some unhinged thoughts in here, probably. You know, just
Yeah.
people just gotta check it out. It's no, it is rough. Like I really envy to a degree like the bands that were doing it during the MySpace era,
Mm.
because that was so much about just like community and connecting and being like, yeah, like we're actually talking to real people, calling people to play house shows, and then blowing up because they built this community around it. You
Yeah.
know, because yeah, the internet was part of it, but it wasn't like this like algorithmic thing. It was this like you find it, you like it, you engage with it. You know,
Yep.
yeah. So just a different world, and it's very emo boomer of me to say all this, but it's real. I mean, it's just like a bummer to go from a world that feels more like raw and authentic and like intentionally engaged to one that is just like what is put in front of my face, you know?
Right. And I don't think it's that bad for you to say because like it's things a lot of us, especially not to make it sound even older, but our generation is for sure thinking, and I think that's the one tough thing is like as we're progressing, we're just like, man, it was so much easier back like the good old days. Just do it.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Yeah, I think back to 2014, 2015, 2016. I'm like, hell yeah. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't even that long ago, but it felt like a different time. It was just
Right.
crazy.
Uh, I know we've already gotten off on some good stories and tangents, which
Yeah.
I love. Like I think
Yeah.
if this episode, if we had no time constraint, this episode could be quite a long time. We're not.
Yeah.
That's not to say I'm not stopping it. Well, that's not to say I'm stopping it. I'm not stopping it right now. But
Right.
I want to make sure that on kind of hoping,
Oh,
which is why we're
Yeah,
here.
the record, why we're
Yeah,
here.
that I didn't miss anything that you kind of want the people to know about. I know we kind of talked about obviously Casper. We talked about the latest singles, the artwork, and just how phenomenal it is, and just this new era of Stars Hollow. But I want to make sure we didn't miss anything that you want the people to know about.
I don't think so. I mean, like, if I had to like bullet point, just like bullet shoot random like little Easter eggs or things about my life that I think are interesting to put out there, like lyrically, there's a part at the very end of Catch Me. So we recorded this record with Brett Roms and Gary Cioni. You would know them because they worked on like Hot Mulligan stuff and Anxious and Leisure Hour, bands like that. Tiny Voices as well, stuff like that. Well, not as well. Anyway, ultimately to say, when we were recording with Gary, he asked me randomly, like, if I could be anything, what would I want to be? Like, just to like talk into the mic to put like a little snippet at the end of Catch Me. And I said, I think I'd probably want to be a cat, you know, just like a little guy, you know? And then that's the last thing you hear before Casper starts. And that wasn't planned. Like, he just randomly asked me that question. That song became called Casper because Casper died later. Like, it wasn't like a planned thing. It was just like, when I listen to it now, I'm like, oh my God, that's so crazy that it turned into this, like, sort of weird, like, foreshadowing thing. And you can barely hear it. It's me just mumbling, like, oh, you know, like a cat, like a little guy, you know? And so that's one thing. this one, my mom probably won't get this far into this episode, but there's a line on oh my gosh, what did we call it? We used to name the songs after sodas. So sometimes I forget what the names of the actual song. Sprite. That's funny because it was named after the soda Sprite, and then I changed it to the name of the creature. Um, but there's a line in there about the first lines are like about shot the ceiling, ear still ringing. I almost accidentally, and this is fully accidental, I almost accidentally blew my head off with a gun when I was 17 years old. And that's one of those things that I've had to keep very secret because I was afraid my dad would get mad at me for shooting a hole in the ceiling. Um, and so that line is a reference to that moment of like, oh my God, I literally almost died. Um, and that's
Shooting your
one
eye out,
that,
kid. Jesus.
yeah, literally. I grew up in like a rural, like yeehaw area. And so I think we, like some of my more yeehaw friends at the time, wanted to go like raccoon hunting at night or something, and my parents were
Checks
out of
out.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's spot on. Um, and so got home, left the gun on the table, and then that happened. So ultimately, to say, those are two little, two little personal, small things on the record that. And the second one, like with the gun, especially being because I've never been able to really tell my mom or my parents about it for 15 years. And I got to get it out somewhere. So this podcast is where I'm getting it out.
But I appreciate being able to be that spot to get that. And like, I'm trying to think of how to lead into this. With the style of music that you do, obviously you've always had these harsher vocals with everything.
Yeah.
Most parents, depending on what their child is putting out, may not be their music may not be that cup of tea that they listen to. How do your parents feel? Like, have they listened to a lot of the Stars Hollow discography?
Yeah. No, my parents, honestly, I'm very privileged in having parents that have always understood that even if they don't totally get it, that it still is important that I'm making it. You know? Because, like, when I was like 14, I was like a mall Hot Topic emo kid, and I was, excuse me, playing guitar and stuff. And so I think from like being a teenager, they kind of got this like seed planted in their brains of like, I may not always understand my child, but that's still my child, you know?
Yeah.
And every band I've been in, but especially Stars Hollow, they have always been very supportive of. They buy merch, they buy records. That like whenever we post merch that my mom likes, she texts me immediately. It is like, save me one of these. I don't want to run out. And I'm like, Mom, it's a pre-order. It's endless. It's fine. You'll be okay. Um, and my dad is like a quieter guy, and so he's not the type to be like, "Hey, love that song," But like, he wears Stars Hollow hats like all the time, like because he's a bald guy, wears hats, like so that's like his way of showing that support. So they have always been supportive. I think with this record, especially with the song Casper, it's been easier for them along with my sister to be like very openly supportive because they genuinely like some of the songs. It's not like, oh, I just kind of like what my son is doing. It's like, oh, I like this song, you
Yeah.
know. But they've always been supportive. It's just like shifted throughout the years.
Okay. I know. That's amazing to hear. I think the last band I talked to, where we talked about like their parents and being such a backing force. I think it was like the first time maybe Red Sun was on, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
nice to see that like because obviously we're from the same like demographic. We're both from like rural towns in Iowa.
Yeah.
When you said your dad's more of like a quiet person, he's not going to come out and say it. Like my dad does the same thing. He's never
Yeah.
he's never really he'll express his feelings when needed, and you got to appreciate those moments. But he'll never be like, if I did like a record like this, he would probably never be like, no, it sounds great. Like I love it. He would probably be
Yeah.
like, so this is I support what you're doing type of
Yeah.
deal. And
No, exactly. You have to
and
kind
I
of like
think
read between the lines a little bit on
yeah.
what it means. Like him wearing that hat is him being like, "You're doing this thing, and I'm proud of that."
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Which is amazing to see. So hopefully, they it's lovely to see that they support everything that's kind of going on,
Yeah.
especially when it might get heavy in a certain song talking about certain topics.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what Catch Me has that line, was it the lead in the water or the blood from my father? And because that's the grandma I was talking about earlier is my dad's mom. And like writing stuff like that, sometimes I worry, like, oh, are they going to hear that and like have their feelings hurt or something? Um, but thus far, I have had no hurt feelings or what the fuck, why would you write that? So we're doing good so far, and there's the support's still there. So
Oh yeah.
I can't complain.
Well, that's amazing. Like I said, everyone go listen to Kind of Hoping. We'll talk links here in a little bit. Obviously, this is Beers Bands. We've kind of been hinting at what we've been drinking at this episode. For obvious, like we've been saying, we're drinking Four Locos for this. There was a point in time, and I mentioned this to actually I think Caleb from Hey I Love You recently, that Tyler was part of the first tour I ever went on and part of the last tour I ever went on. Because the first tour I ever went on, obviously, all my tours were with the homies in Exit Emergency. That first one we did the 2 weeks by ourselves. Then the second week we did 2 weeks with Survival Soundtrack, which to this day I'm adamant about this. To this day, Survival Soundtrack was the best pop punk band to ever come out of Iowa.
Dude,
I will fight anyone on that.
if we all liked each other, that band would have done
Oh my god.
crazy shit. That band
Yeah.
is so good. If you want to go find it, it's Survival Soundtrack. We put out just like two releases. It was, I think if it came out today, it would do incredible. But like, yeah, most of us don't talk, or if we do talk, it's very like here and there.
Yeah.
But yes, continue. Sorry, I just agree with you full heartedly that
Yeah.
it was so good.
But yes, one of the greatest. Please go check it out. I still every once in a while will go pull up those EPs because I was with Exit Emergency, but I would have much rather been merchant for Survival Soundtrack some days. Wink. Sorry, Thomas. But even my last tour, obviously I was still with Exit Emergency. Was with Stars Hollow, which was a great fun time. 11 days on the road, just real quick, fast paced. And I've mentioned this on a couple episodes where that was the tour where we were pretty much going through a case of beer a day in the van.
Yeah.
Which was wild. I don't drink as heavy as I do now anymore.
Yep.
But and we've also kind of hinted at the 8 Loco version of Tyler. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, we're drinking Four Locos. Since Tyler's only had one, I figured one of us should at least go 8 Loco. So we'll see how this goes today. It's early enough in the day where I can still sleep it off, I guess.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Sleep it off. Yeah, so for the uninitiated, Four Loco used to be an energy drink alcohol combo.
Yeah.
The fucking shitty fascist government decided, I'm just kidding. It's good that it's not caffeinated anymore. But ultimately they took away the caffeine. I started drinking it after they took the caffeine away. So I didn't get the full experience. But I'm guessing you know this, but do you know about like when I did drink Four Locos back to back at the Exit Emergency music video shoot?
I wasn't there for that. I heard
Yeah,
about
you
it
weren't there.
afterwards.
Yeah. So, so just for a little lore drop, I was invited to be part of this pop punk band from Iowa called Exit Emergency, who I still think some of their music was my favorite from Iowa, especially the EP I'm about to be talking about. I was invited to be part of that music video shoot because I was on the cover of that EP, like fully clothed in the shower. Like I'm supposed to appear very drunk and fucked up, and I was very drunk and fucked up because I drank 2 Four Locos back to back and drank beers afterwards. You will notice you do not see me in that music video at all because I think it's supposed to be from like my perspective, but someone else was the cameraman who was actually a cameraman. I think it was
I think it was Joe Gibbs.
Joe Gibbs. Yep. But ultimately to say that Four Locos back to back with beers chasing it was not a good idea. I think it was at Sage Weber's like practice space, if I
Yeah, it
remember
checks out.
correctly. And if for those who don't know, Sage Weber, big Hollywood awesome drummer now who does cool
Can,
shit.
can we also take a second, real quick, just to
Yes.
also put out there that the last tour that we did together, Sage Weaver drummed for both bands. He
Yeah.
has filled in with you, but I can't remember the band that he went off and formed, but he's drummed for what Let Live, Black Veil Brides, fucking a bunch of different like hip hop artists, like top
I
of the
I
world.
saw him with Bring Me the Horizon. He was
Yeah,
drumming for Bring Me the Horizon on tour with Fall Out Boy. And that same drummer was in Stars Hollow and Exit Emergency for a tour. It's just crazy. Yes. Sage is I've always joked that Stars Hollow has like this weird drummer anti-curse where if you drum for Stars Hollow as a fill-in, you go on to do crazy cool shit.
yeah.
Because
Oh
like
yeah, because
Sage, Brandon Blakely, which Brandon did lots of cool shit. It's not like he deserves where
which
he's at,
I
but
again I when I talked about Stars Hollow and I being in the same scene growing up, Brandon Blakely is from Iowa, from Dubuque, Iowa, also in the same scene. To watch two bands kind of form. Also, I got to give a shout out to
Kayak Jones,
yes, Kayak Jones. I can't think of
Tyler Zumov.
yes, Tyler Zumoff. For the things that they've done, it's
Yes.
been amazing to see. Like
Yep.
makes me proud to be from Iowa.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And then Josh Elke, who filled in for us a bunch back in the day, drummed for like 303 for a little bit.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, so ongoing joke that Stars does this weird like ritual for drummers that turns their like lives into cool shit. But I don't know where oh yeah, 8 Loco. So anyways, I drank 2 4 Locos back to back at Sage Weeper's practice space. Puked a bunch. It was really bad. There are certain details that I won't disclose here because they're a little too but well, I puked into my underwear. That was the worst part. Anyway, ended up on the cover of that EP, and I was wearing that. This is another random thing. I was wearing a Remo Drive T-shirt with Bobcat, who used to be an Anzio, who is now Frail Body, and like it's just a weird like lore connection of me from Stars Hollow being on the Exit Emergency cover with a T-shirt from Remo Drive with a member from what became Frail Body. Like just a weird thing. Anyway, don't drink Four Loco if you care about yourself or your loved ones. This is the first time I've drank one since 2017, maybe. I would
I'm so
guess.
happy I got to spark this in you.
No, I am too. I went to go shopping for like my fiance's like birthday cake. Like I decided to make one, and I was like, I need to stop and get a Four Loco before I head home. So this was special.
So two things. If people want to see Tyler on the cover of that Exit Emergency album, it's Coping on all streaming platforms. I think it should all still be up. But
think so.
two, originally this episode was supposed to be in person. I was going to drive down to Des Moines
Yep.
because big milestone. I've waited for this episode for. I mean, the podcast will be 7 years this year. I've been waiting basically 6.5
crazy.
years for this to happen. Originally, what I was going to do was I was going to stop at a gas station on my way to your house. Right before I get there, I was going to buy 2 4 Locos, and I was going to just pull them out of my bag and just put them down right at the beginning of the episode just to see what would happen. And I texted when we kind of did a lateral move, football term for people, to switch this to just a Zoom. And I reminded you of the opening crack. You had mentioned 4 Locos, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't think you were actually gonna get a 4 Loco for the episode. That's why I was gonna bring
Oh no,
them."
I
And then I made
Yep.
sure to buy a couple yesterday, just in case, in your honor.
I love it. I love it. It's so funny. And this is like an I'm getting in my 30s thing, I guess, but like it's just so funny to think about like in certain pockets that is my legacy of being the guy in
Well,
the emo band who drank a bunch of Four Locos.
it's when I think of Tyler Stodchill, I think of Stars Hollow, I think of Four Locos, and I think about McChickens.
That's so true. That's my old Twitter handle was plain McChickens. Chickens, not as often, but more often than most people probably do. You
Yeah.
know, it's that is my legacy. Put that on my tombstone. McChickens, Four Locos, emo music.
But yeah, I have a couple fan questions that I need to get into. A couple of people did bring those up, and I
Oh,
don't want
cool.
to forget those before I go into like my next tangent that I know will take us however long. So I don't want to be rude to the fine folks that put something out there.
Yep.
So let me bring up. So the first one, and I'll try and put it on the screen here if I remember, was from several Instagram title handle several thousand more. They wanted to know your favorite Final Fantasy.
Okay. Hot take. I really loved Final Fantasy 13. I don't know how much you know much about Final Fantasy, Michael?
I've never played it.
Never played it. Okay, so I am a JRPG guy. I do like JRPGs. Um, so Final Fantasy, I've played here and there. So I've played the 7 remake and then like the sequels of that. I've meant to play 10 for my whole life. 13 was one of the first ones I played. I love the concept. I love the concept of like the Lacies and Falsies and like the way you summon these like things and it's a hot take because a lot of people think those are like some of the worst games in the series. And I have this very bad like tendency to love the worst of anything. Like I love like the worst albums from bands a lot of the time. Like Touche Amore, I love is survived by, and a lot of people just
Mm.
don't care about that record. And then like Final Fantasy, I love Final Fantasy 13, and that's the one a lot of people are like, like whatever. So yes, Final Fantasy 13, love that. I haven't played it for a long time, but it did have one of those like big like emotional impacts on me when I did play it on the Xbox 360, I believe. A
Well,
different
there you
time.
have it. And then the only other question we got is from a mutual homie of ours, good old T. Allen Fouchot.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah, fellas.
it's kind of a two-parter. What's the song or band that introduced you to open emo tunings?
Ooh, I think, and oh, this is kind of a big question. I think the band that first got me introduced to this and into it was Tiny Moving Parts, which very kind of divisive thing because there were
Yep.
the allegations against Dylan. And there's people who are like, "Yeah, you did that. I don't care about your band anymore." And then there's the people that are like, "You did that, but you tried to reconcile it, so I'll listen to your band." I'm very much like in the middle of like I don't really listen to them that much anymore because it feels like icky a little bit. But
Same.
also I'm like I do believe very strongly in restorative justice and trying to do the right thing to make it right. So I'm also not like, oh, I think we should stab him to death, like I'm somewhere in the middle there. But I think Tiny Moving Parts was the first band where I heard open tunings presented in a way where I was like, oh shit, like this is really cool. And then that honestly that was like a gateway that opened me up to bands like Brave Bird, and bands like I mean American Football I found after that. What else? Yeah, Brave Bird, American Football. I got really into the cardboard swords around then,
Mm.
dowsing. And there's a lot of bands from that era that I really got into, and that was my gateway. And it's one of those things where on early Stars Hollow, I think you can tell that was my gateway, and not in like a I'm going to copy this way, but in a like this is what's inspiring me way. But I feel like Brave Bird out of those bands is the one that stood the test of time, where I still love that band, still listen to them all the time, and like we have a song called Taunt on our record that is very Brave Bird inspired from the song Rekindled. I was like, I want to write a song like that. So yes, so I think TMP was like my gateway. Brave Bird has been my like long standing. like dedication to it, I suppose.
Okay. And then the second part of this question is, uh, and how has it evolved?
Ooh, how has like my view of emo or how it's affected me evolved, or
Let's go with that one. He didn't
okay,
get specific, so I'm gonna throw it all
okay.
audible in there, football term, and just I don't know why I keep saying that. I don't even watch football. I'm so sorry to people. So sorry.
Well, and also to point out, you did exactly what I do in therapy sometimes, where I'll ask someone a question and they'll be like, "Do you mean this or this?" And I'm like, "Go with that one." I literally, because literally sometimes I'm like, "Who knows? You know, figure it
Yeah.
out. Let's talk through it." So it's just funny that you did exactly what I do. Um, so okay, I still love emo music. I still love twinkly emo music. Like I said, Bravebird has been kind of like the one like solid guiding star of like this is something I will always love. But I think that like my love of emo music is very different now. I don't listen to it as much. I'm trying to think like I do listen to Hot Mulligan, especially like You'll Be Fine ish era. Because I thought that was a really cool time of this band that I knew that was playing like these small shows, got onto No Sleep, and we were like, oh shit, No Sleep, that's so cool. That's the biggest thing that's ever going to happen. And then that record came out and they exploded, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think that record holds like number one, a special place because I really think the songwriting is amazing. And two, just like it really exemplified what emo could become ultimately. But other than that, like I listen to Origami Angel sometimes. Otherwise, I really, man, I can't even think of any like modern emo bands besides like maybe Aren't We Amphibians?
Mm.
Excuse Me, Who Are You? And Tiny Voices. Those are the three that I really like actually like actively will like seek out to listen to sometimes. And a big part of that is because it reminds me of being in my early 20s in 2015. You know, it like has some of that aspect to it in some way or another. Because other than that, I listen to a lot more like hardcore, post-hardcore. Like my favorite artist of all time is Nicole Dollanganger, which is like a like quiet, broody, kind of fucked up like girl that sings about like weird stuff. So I guess I would say my current interests don't align exactly with like the music that I write, but the core of emo is still very much there. And the bands that I listen to because they remind me of everything I loved about stuff back then.
Yeah. I feel that because like this podcast has never been about a specific genre, but I feel
Yeah.
like if you go back over the last 6.5 years, you'll notice that there's a fine line and like arc in emo stuff. And it's funny because like in my day to day, yeah, I'll listen to emo stuff, but a lot of what I listen to is I try to listen to a decent amount of hardcore, as you said,
Yeah.
and I also listen to a lot of just Spanish music
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it's just funny that like I've just been so intertwined with like the emo scene that like I'll never call my podcast an emo podcast because
Uh-huh.
I never wanted to. Well, I take that back. Brian and I never wanted to define our podcast because this was
Yeah.
originally a Brian and I project.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we never wanted to define it as a specific thing. Our goal was just to doing exactly what we did on this episode, which was catch up with our homies, talk about what they have going on over
Yeah.
some beers like we normally would because it had been so long since we'd done anything. So, if anyone's listening and you're not just specifically emo, hit me up because there's that whole
Yeah.
pocket that I'm down for. But,
Absolutely.
and one other thought that I had, drunken thought as I was listening to everything, the gold has gone down so much smoother than the fruit punch. I just got to say that.
Is the gold like an? I feel like I remember it being like an energy drink almost kind of flavor of like. It reminded me of like Monster Zeros of some kind, but
Honestly, yeah, it does kind of taste like that, and it's 13.9% compared to the 12%
ooh,
fruit punch.
twins. Mine
Hell
also
yeah.
has 13.9 for my jackpot, which I still don't know what flavor it is. I really don't know.
My other thought, and I've said this on a couple episodes, is obviously, like you mentioned, you were the cover art for Coping.
Mhm.
With you doing what you did, twinkling wise, especially in the Iowa scene, you were probably like, I want to say like the forefront of jumping into the emo twinkliness of what would become fifth wave emo if you consider different phases. But I think you inspired Thomas to start doing that on Coping and the very last album, From the Grave, to the point where if and I only say this because I love Exit Emergency and they're my dudes until I die. I think if they would have done Coping in today's time, that band would still be doing shit
Oh yeah.
because they would fit in perfectly. You were ahead of you were going into it far enough where they were dying out and they did it. But I think if they would have kept going, we would have still seen Exit Emergency today. And that's just a hard cut for all the homies that are listening to this episode.
No, I agree. I've thought about that a lot. It was a weird time of like, because even for stars, like people will talk about wave emo, fifth wave emo, and we realistically land in the middle. You know, we're not like the Origami Angel, we're not like the Heights, we're not like those bands necessarily, but we're also not like all the fourth wave bands. You know, it was a weird time because I remember like playing fests. Like we played a fest with the band Oliver Houston, and I loved Oliver Houston. They were like a fourth wave band, kind of tail end. And I remember handing "I'm Really Not That Upset About It" to one of the members, and really hoping that he would at least be like, "Oh man, this is yeah, like cool, like let's be in touch or whatever." And he was just kind of like, "Oh yeah, I think I've seen this. Thanks," and then just moved on. Like I wanted to make that connection. And so it's kind of this weird thing of like when the fifth wave started, there were a lot of bands that like liked us and credited us with like being at least a piece of what made them want to like do what they were doing. Whether it was like because of our sound or just because they were like, oh, this emo band's doing it, I want to do it. And you know, they like all those bands have ended up to do like amazing, crazy things. And so I think we've always just been at this really weird point, and I think that your point with Exit Emergency is kind of accurate too, of kind of doing the right thing at the wrong time. Where if I think about this a lot, where if we released I'm Really Not That Upset About It, followed by Happy Again, now, it would be a lot different. Like I think that it would have like people would have connected with it even more than they did. With that said, I still very much appreciate how much people love Happy Again, especially. And I'm glad that anyone cares about it. But I thought about that specifically with Coping by Exit Emergency because I was listening to it like 2 months ago. And I was like, this is really fucking good. Like, and I think that if this came out now, it's enough of a balance between pop punk catchiness and Midwest emo like noodliness
Yeah.
that I think it would land really well with a lot of
Oh
people.
yeah.
And I say that while also saying that I love Coping by Exit Emergency because it was not derivative. I could not point to something and say that it sounded exactly like that band, you know? A lot of emo today, and I don't mean this like in a shady way necessarily, but a lot of it I listen to and I'm like, this just sounds like Marietta, but now. Or this just sounds like, I don't know, like Brave Bird, but now. Which is like fine and okay, but that like makes it hard for me to connect because I already know those bands, you know. An Exit Emergency still to this day reminds me of like, yeah, like you can do this and not be completely derivative of something else. And I think if people heard that now, it would land a lot better than it did in what 2016, 17, a
Oh,
long time
hold on.
ago.
I have it up. That was yeah. Coping was 2016.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. They yeah because it's crazy. Yeah, I miss. I don't. I miss that band. Obviously, I talk to Thomas and Brian, and pretty often. Talk to
Yeah.
Jake every so often. B will when I can. Drummers was always kind of dependent. Obviously,
Yeah, revolving door a little bit.
Yeah, revolving door. We've shared drummers in Wyatt, Sage, and there's been a few other fill-ins throughout there. But it's definitely I've mentioned this in a lot of episodes. Like I miss more just like being in the van with those dudes. The shows, obviously, I didn't play anything. I just did merch, did the TMing stuff.
Yeah.
So like those shows are whatever. But like the time in the van with the homies is what I miss the most. And like that era of what we went through is just so impactful, and like that's what I have to look back on and stuff.
No, it really does create like a special bond that I think that people outside of this world don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, because on those longer tours, a lot of those longer tours were with like Jesse and then a fill-in drummer.
Yeah.
And like Jesse lives around here now and we're friends still. And while I don't talk to him like as often as other friends maybe, when we see each other, there's still a different connection there of like this understanding of like, yeah, we like were on the road and we did all these things and we lived through all these shitty experiences, but at least we had our band and each other. Like, and even the same, like, I think that if Stars broke up today, like, I think that with M, Louie, and Andrew, I would still also have that same kind of special bond of like, there's this special time and thing that we all got to experience. And yeah, I mean, I think that what you're saying totally makes sense. It's just like, I don't know. It's like a life you can never go back to fully once you leave it. Because I love having a stable job. I love my fiance. I love having cats. I don't want to leave all of this for 2 months at a time or something,
Oh yeah.
But like it's something I would never want to replace in my past. Like I don't regret a single tour or a single bad show ever at this point. So yeah, no, what you're saying totally makes sense.
What I'm going to do here is I got like a couple more things. We might run a little past 1 o'clock if that's okay.
That's fine. No, I'm in no huge hurry by any means.
Okay.
So.
Sweet, because I have a couple more points to make on this topic, and then I'll try and lead us out. After we say our buys, just stay on the line. I usually do screenshot pictures, and I'll have like one other thing for you.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, cool. But yeah, like to bounce off what you just said, I have 2 points that I really want to make. One, I probably haven't seen Jesse, honestly, I think since that tour. And Jesse, if you're watching this episode or listening to this episode, I want to say, I personally should do better to reach out to you, because the times that I was driving and Jesse was my co-pilot were some of the fun times.
Yeah.
We would just be up there and just like, because like I didn't know Jesse too much before going into that whole thing. And I think there was even the run, a tour a couple of years before that where we probably stayed at Jesse's, and I probably met and grew to know them a little bit better. But like when they were co-pilot, like those were some of my favorite times, just us bullshitting. So like I miss Jesse a lot in my life. But two, like I was recently sitting down with the band Football Head from Chicago. Yeah. And obviously our mutual homie, Nate, is now the bass player for Football Head.
Yes, I saw that recently. Blew my mind.
Yeah, which is wild. But I was talking to them and kind of talking about how, like, the old times of, being TMing and being on the road. And they kind of asked, and one of I think it was Ryan from Football Head had asked me, maybe during the episode or before the episode, of would I go out again? And I said, I kind of thought about it for a second, and I was like, it would have to be the right moment. Yeah. At this point in life, kind of like you said, like you're home, you have your fiance, you have your cats. I don't have a fiance, and I don't have cats. I don't have anyone tying me here, but I have my house that's tying me to Minneapolis.
You have a life,
I have a life, I have a work life and everything. So like for me to do it would have to be like the right moments, and like the only things I could think of were like in a hypothetical situation, let's say football had invited me out. Cool. I would possibly do it just because obviously Nate, whatever. But in my head, I'm like, would it fulfill what I've done before, or would I rather it, or would I do it in the entire time? I'm just being like, oh, I wish the boys were here type
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
It's one of those tough situations.
Yeah, like would I be just longing for what the experience was
Yeah,
rather than like appreciating what it is, you know? And that's kind of where we're at as a band too. I mean, like that's pretty spot on. It has to be the right thing. You know, like we've talked about like snapshot yeses. And one of the snapshot yeses would be, and this is like not gonna happen, but if Hot Mulligan was like, come on tour with us, snapshot yes. Like there would be no thought, there would be, let's figure out how we're gonna go out for a couple weeks. Good. And I think like some close to snapshot, but not quite yeses would be like Origami Angel or Ben Quad or something like that if they wanted to bring us out.
yeah,
That would be like, yeah, like let's do it. But everything else, kind of like you said, it's just like you have a life here, and no matter what that life looks like, it's hard to leave that life.
yeah,
And you know, like with me personally, like I'm potentially neurodivergent in some sense. I'm getting it's a whole thing, but ultimately to say that breaks in routine and stuff are very hard for me. And so yeah, I mean it's at a point where like I really have to make sure it's worth it and to really weigh it against what matters to me and like what I value in life. Because in my early 20s, nothing mattered
right.
besides my
Dude,
friends and music.
I quit jobs to go on tours.
Yeah,
And now
yeah,
I'm like, I can't quit a job. Like, I have a mortgage to pay. I can't do
yeah.
that.
No, exactly. Like back then, man, if anything, I wish I toured more back then, you know, because
Yeah.
I think about like my rent in Ames at the time was $200 a month.
Jesus.
And I worked a job. Granted, it didn't pay great, but it was like decent for the time. And they would give me time off whenever I wanted, you
Yeah.
know? And there's a part of me that's like, man, back then, I wish I would have just been like, well, what the fuck's gonna happen? I'll go on this long tour or whatever. But now it is so different because like my values are just different, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like that just comes with age because, like, it's crazy because, like, that last run that we did where it was Exit Emergency and Stars Hollow, we
Uh-huh.
did 11 days. And I remember I was only part time at my job at that point, but they were like, hey, you work so much part time that we can give you this much PTO. And I was like, sick. I'm going to be gone for 11 days. I'm
Yeah.
going to fucking go. And it was just, I mean, that entire run was sick, except for that whole time that, like, I've talked about this a couple times where our New York fell through. So we played North Carolina. No, we played Richmond, Virginia with
Yeah.
that stack show for Centerfolds, the homies in Centerfolds for their album release show.
Yes.
And then drove from, oh my God. Thomas drove overnight from Virginia to Pennsylvania. I woke up in Pennsylvania, drove us from Pennsylvania to Toronto to play Toronto, and then I drove us from Toronto to almost the border, and then I drove us from the border back to Indiana, like within like a day and a half.
Which
It
is
was
fucking insane.
hauling ass.
Like you put that on paper and tell me to do that now, and I will tell you to go fuck yourself.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like, but
Yeah.
but we did it. We like, I mean, you deserve credit, especially for like some of the huge fucking stretches there. But yeah, no, that shit was crazy. I forgot about that Centerfold show. That was a good show. I
That was
forgot
such a sick show.
that band was so good.
Amazing. I wish they would do something again. I remember I was able to get my hands on so they were signed to and I always get confused because there's Counterintuitive and then there's CI Records. They were signed to one of them. One of them,
CI, I think.
yeah, one of them put out a four-way split, and I was able to get my hands on the four-way split. It's a 7-inch, so I at least have something of theirs that's pressed to vinyl,
Nice.
which makes me happy. But yeah, that was a fucking wild time because I remember I went to go sleep in. We got done with that show. I crawled in the back back row, because normally we had bunks in the back of the van, but since we were
Yeah.
riding all in the one van, we took the bunks out, put the
Yeah.
seats back. I passed out. The weed smokers smoked the last of the weed before
The
we
weed
before we
smokers,
left,
yeah.
and then they hauled ass to Pennsylvania. One thing on that tour that I really remember. Well, there's two things, and I'll get to the second one here in a second. One thing I remember is there was a point where we woke up at a rest area, and I was in the back of the van, and I was like, "Where? I don't know what state we're in," and I'm just waking up, and I look. Obviously, there's a semi behind us. I think there's legs hanging off of the van, like over the van, like on the back. Someone has slept, like passed out on top of the van. There's a couple of people passed out on like benches, like park benches at this rest stop.
I remember that because Brian slept outside. I'm pretty
Yeah, and I was just like, where the our entire van had like just dissipated from the van and just slept everywhere else, and people were waking up from their cars and being like, what are these homeless people doing right now?
sure. Yeah, that's spot on. I remember that because I think I slept inside. No, I was outside for a bit. I came inside, but I remember Brian. I think I remember him being one of the first to brave just going to a bench and sleeping on it. Like, oh man, that's just so crazy because now I don't know, you could not get 26 Stars Hollow to sleep outside at a rest stop.
Oh
Like,
fuck no!
it's just a different time. Because back then I was like, yeah, this is where we are. Cool.
Yeah.
Like let's sleep. Like, yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
The other thing I remember from that tour, and it kind of falls in line with maybe not straight up eight loco Tyler Stodge, but it falls in line with four loco Tyler Stodge Hill. Is we were staying at the homie Jim Pody's house. Shout out Dead Eyes. I guess shout out Iowa football. Fuck
Shouts
Kirk
out.
Ferentz. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but we were staying at the homie Jim Pody's house with the other homie. I got to shout out William Newman. Obviously, William.
Yep, William.
Was living there as well. But we were just having. I think we grilled out. We just had a good time. We bought a couple extra cases of beer. That was the same night. If you remember, I've talked about this. I think one other time on the episode is you beer bonged a. This is in quotation marks. Beer bonged a Four Loco out of a like a pretzel, Pringles container or some shit.
Yes. Yeah.
After it was finished.
That sounds correct. That tour was weird because we did drink a lot.
Well,
And
because
so-
you were out with us, so like we were the drinking band in Iowa. If you wanted
yeah.
to party, like it was with us.
It was, yeah, absolutely. That was at Jim's because I think that was one of, oh, I'm trying to think because we toured with Frail Body. I'm trying to remember. I think it was after this tour with Exit. And I think that tour with Exit is where I had my first beer bong experience, technically. And then I became a beer bong connoisseur the year after. But that checks out. I think, oh man, and I talk to William sometimes still. Like he'll comment on like or reply to like Instagram things. And I'm like, oh fuck yeah. Like I just love William.
Oh, William, if you're listening, you're the most handsome man, and we all fucking love William.
Love William. And Jim I think came through with his band recently in Des Moines. I didn't go because I didn't know, but TJ Wilt like connected with him while they were there and I caught up and so just a weird worlds colliding again thing. But I don't remember. It makes sense that you're saying that I did this beer bong situation and I don't remember it very well. because I remember us going there. I remember there being a grill out situation. A lot of the rest becomes a little hazy
Yeah, that
after
checks
that.
out. Yeah.
Between the passage of time and the likelihood that I did either beer bong or drink out of a Pringles can a Four Loco, like that checks out. I think
There,
okay.
there may be a video of it. I can't remember. There's a video from that night, for sure, of Brian drinking something. But I remember we got there, we dropped the trailer, and then found the nearest liquor store, and we had bought at least 2 or 3 cases of beer. So
Yeah.
that entire night from there kind of gets hazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out. I'm trying to remember when did we play New Jersey on that run?
Yeah, we played. Oh my God, we played a house show in New Jersey. I've talked about this before.
Okay.
We played a house show in New Jersey. Brian and Thomas are doing beer skate in the driveway.
Uh-huh.
We have Brian Taylor and Jake from Exit Emergency doing beer bongs off of their porch roof.
Porch roof. Yep.
And then obviously I remember the other thing of everyone being in the room for Stars Hollow and then everyone leaving for Exit Emergency. And I was like, God damn it, Tyler did it to us again. Mainly
What did I
because,
do?
well, no, this is just a weird merch guy notice of just like Survival Soundtrack was always just a step ahead of Exit. I love Exit till the day I die. But you guys did it again in New Jersey, and I thought it was the funniest thing where like people still stayed. But it was just, I'm drunk. Leave me alone. But like, but it was just one of those moments again. But yeah, we were just,
Yeah.
Exit just showed up and was like, you guys are in college? Cool, tight. We're going to drink a fuck ton right now.
That's so spot on. I was trying to remember because we played New Jersey with this band called Median, and I couldn't remember if it was on the tour with Exit or if it was a later one. Because that was another one of those like weird lore, excuse me, divergent things where we played with Median and the bassist of Median was Helen from Carly Cosgrove. And then the person who potentially booked that show was Ben Greenblatt from Arm's Length.
Jesus. Oh yeah, because he's from New Jersey.
Yes.
I can't
Yeah.
remember what band he was originally from, but yeah.
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, and I was trying to remember because it was either the Exit one or like one a year after, maybe two. But just one of those weird things where it's like small world where DIY is so interconnected that eventually once things start like growing and blowing up, you're like, oh shit, I know that person. And yeah, like Helen and Ben were two where I saw them later and they were like approached me and were like, hey, like I booked Stars Hollow or we played with Stars Hollow. And I was like, you're in these really fucking cool bands. I remember you, but I don't like remember like as clearly as you seem to remember the other way. And now you're playing like 2,000 cap venues. Like to it's just a crazy thing with DIY is you get to know these people who are so amazing and creative that you get to eventually see it grow into something, you know?
Oh yeah, like so recently, semi recently, depending on times of construct. But I think like back in November or October, this is gonna sound wild as I lead into this. I had two of the dudes from Major League on the podcast,
Oh, hell yeah.
which is still to me wild that they sat down with me.
Underrated band. Very cool.
Dude, yeah, 100%. So I sat down with them, had a good time, and then I from touring with Exit, we became friends with band in a few bands and people in Colorado Springs. One has branched out and now they're doing this band called Relate that's been touring around quite a bit. They came to Minneapolis, so I went out. Homies went to go support, and their fill-in guitar player or drummer for that show was Brian from Major League's side projects like member, and I was
Yeah.
like, shit, small world, crazy.
Just very small world.
And then in January, I sat down with this band called Grief Eater from Chicago, and I was like, cool, tight. At that point, didn't think anything of it. And then their friends in Hell of a Life hit me up. Hey, our friends wanted to do this. Let's do this. And I was like, okay, sick. And then Hell of a Life, I got done recording with them on like a Thursday night. And then they went to go hang out with their friends literally that night after the recording.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be with Football Head. And so Football Head messaged me and was like, "Yo, our friends just sat down with you. We'd love to do something." They said it was super fun.
Yeah.
And like I'd known about Football Head, especially since Ben Quad had announced that tour or whatever. And like I went to their page and then I saw that fucking Spainhauer was their bass player, and I was like, one,
Like, what the
yeah.
fuck?
I was like, one, yes, totally sounds sick. Two, tell my boy Nate I said what's up. Let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
And it was just it again because during the Hell of a Life episode we had talked about like how small the honestly like the DIY music scene really is, and then just to have Nate be in the band that like got told about it. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, small world again. Like this is
Yeah.
crazy as shit.
Yeah, no, I remember I saw like a post from Football Head about Nate being in the band or like with Nate in it in general. And I just like sat there and I was like, that's fucking Nate. Like that's like granted he was in survival for like the last like portion of it.
Yep.
And things were weird in the last portion of survival in general. But I still was like, Jesus. And then because Nate was in the band Arkham, right?
Yep.
Correct. Okay, because someone
Yeah,
came
that's why he went to Chicago was for Arkham.
Arkham,
Yep.
and then because yeah, someone came up to our merch table. No, yeah, okay. So there are two instances: one coming to our merch table, one Instagram messaging us about talking to Nate from Arkham after an Arkham show or something, and like connecting that like somehow that me and Nate were in a band together in the past. And I was just like, what the hell? Like such a small world that like yeah, people are like I don't know. It was just you're just totally right. DIY is such a small world, especially in the Midwest. Because well, when you're as good at bass as Nate is, yeah, you're bound
Yeah.
to be in like a bajillion bands that are really good. So
I think one of my favorite Nate moments before we progress from just the Iowa emo scene is I think it was during a Survival soundtrack set at Gabe's. I think it was Survival soundtrack and not Easy Mark, which is more deeper into that lore for Iowa
cut.
scene because I was packing some heat. Iowa, I think at one point packed a good enough heat as like not Minnesota. Minnesota's packing heat, but like as like Wisconsin is packing heat right now.
I agree.
I want to say
Back
like
then,
Iowa had
especially.
a good set. But I think there was one Survival soundtrack set at Gabe's one time. It might have been the EP release show or sometime after that.
I remember
Where
photos from what I think you're talking about. Like we played. It was
yeah
one of our last shows. Was at Gabe's.
yeah where like the mic just didn't work on his bass cab, so he was like fuck it because like it's not reading what he's putting out, so he just turned it up literally it almost seemed like to 11
Yeah.
and just fucking rocked out, and it was like the
Yeah.
sickest fucking thing, and
So
I think
sick.
about that moment so many times.
Man, I we could do like a whole like 10 hours on the Iowa scene back then. Like it may just be like boomer me not knowing bands that well, but like in in retrospect it was so good. Like the Easy Mark turning into Catholic Werewolves and then
Yeah.
Arizona Landmine, Us, Exit, Survival, Remiss.
Well, and
Like it was so
then we
good.
also had the birth of Wolf Hongo from that,
Yeah.
which was doing crazy things. I know Display Case was doing crazy things at that point too. They're still around, which is
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
told them multiple times is wild that like a band from our era of doing music is still around in
Yeah.
Iowa right now is
Yeah.
just insane to me.
I worked with Dylan from Display Case. We both worked at Child Serve for a while, and so I talked to him sometimes. Um, and yeah, and then also just obviously Kayak Jones. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like sometimes in my brain they're like beyond that, but like yeah, they were part of that
well, because
too.
they Kayak Jones kind of came like after that wave a little bit,
Yeah.
where they weren't playing as much with like everyone else. Well, like everyone else had kind of like maybe died out essentially, and then
Yeah.
Kayak Jones and like Tyler did what he did, and like what that band ended up doing is insane. I mean, even like we talked about Blakely earlier, doing his insane things. He drummed for so many bands in the Iowa scene, and I've said this in multiple episodes. Is like the Iowa scene was never just like a small pocket in Iowa. If you were a band in general in Iowa, granted we didn't probably anything past Des Moines, we probably didn't know about too much. Unfortunately, if you were doing anything in Council Bluffs, I'm sorry, but if you were in Iowa from Des Moines to Iowa City, the Quad Cities, basically eastern Iowa, you were the Iowa scene. So
Yeah.
if we did a show and it's like, yo, we have this band coming through, we want to book all these Iowa bands. It's like we're pulling from these small town cities, which are like an hour and a half, 2 hours away.
Yep.
But to see Kayak Jones kind of blow up to become what they are. You guys blow up to become what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Blakely be fill in for all of us at one point, and then go to sudden suspension, and then go
I
to
forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah, and then go to Hot Mulligan, and then just become this fucking world renowned thing is just
Yep.
insane. And like I said at the beginning, like whether we communicate or not all the time, it's just wild to see, and it's so happy to see that people from the scene are just excelling in what they're doing in any aspect. Like I haven't talked to Blakely in fucking years. That's on one part. I've reached out, but I'm not trying to be a dick. But like at the same point, like seeing what Blakely's doing, I'm so fucking happy to see
No, for sure.
what he's doing.
Yeah. No. When and just I was just like double checking to make sure I had the name right. If you liked Kayak Jones, please go listen to Hand Me Down. It's Tyler Zumhoff's new band.
Oh yeah.
Just to throw that out there for everyone, because I think that Tyler Zumhoff's one of my favorite songwriters from Iowa, like ever. And Tyler's always been so supportive of Stars. And just to throw that out there, in case you're listening and you're like, oh, I wish I had something like Kayak Jones. It's not the same, but it is still amazing. But yeah, ultimately to say, yeah, like Iowa was amazing because we had a statewide community and we were just all like down to like support each other, do things together. And you know, like nowadays, maybe it's still there in a different way and I'm just not in tune with it. But it's one of those things where if you have that, where you have like a great community, and in Iowa, it has to kind of be statewide because like we're just not a big community. Like, but if you have that community in any aspect, like hold on to that and like support that because yeah, that truly was an amazing time to just like be in a band, and it was so inspiring and supportive and great. Just a different time for sure.
Yeah, and I know there's like I took a step away from the Iowa music scene for a good while before I started doing this podcast again, because like this podcast was kind of like Brian and I's way of getting back into it. But you know, there's Iowa City's always been crazy at like what they're kind of have going on. A lot of it's like this hardcore scene that's a little bit underground. But I do want to shout out the homies that are still doing it and still exceeding and taking that to the next level. You know, so shout out Gunklung with Matt Prince, Matty
Shout
P.
out Gunklung, big.
Is one of the day one homies, and like I've said this so many times, it's so amazing to see that dude. Just everything that he does. Like I love Matty P to the end of the days. Also, if anyone's looking for food, go to oh god damn it, I forgot the name of his restaurant, but he's
a great cook.
Yeah,
though. Like
look up Matthew Prince. He is like literally, if you look it up, he's like one of the #1 chefs in Iowa right now with his food location in Iowa City. And he will also tell you the saddest and best fucking jams in your life. Which is amazing. Shout out the dudes in New Neighbors for still killing it and doing what they're doing with everything. And then you know, my other shout out right now for the Iowa scene is obviously I talked about Displays Case, but shout out to the homies in TV Cop.
I was just about to say, they've been going at it for so long, and say what you're gonna say because I feel like you have a more graceful.
I mean, like I've said this on multiple episodes. I think TV Cop is one of the best bands in Iowa of all time, and people just aren't realizing yet. Obviously, they played Fest last year, and I expect way more and bigger things from them. And the crazy thing is, they're some of the most humble fucking dudes in the fucking world. They're also from your neck of the woods. They're from like the Oskaloosa,
Southeastness,
Selma area.
Yep.
Which is just goes to show that there's something kind of probably in the water down there. Maybe it's good or bad. I don't know.
I
But,
think
like,
it's farm chemicals, maybe, but like
a little bit, yeah.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I was going to say TV Cop too. I saw them at Fest because we just kind of connected and they were like, oh, this is what our set is. Because I saw um, Gonklung and Dakota,
Yep.
I believe, was filling in or like playing like extra guitar. And I was just like, damn, they shred. Like, this
Yeah.
is really good because they opened up for us and Michael Sarah Palin and Arcadia Gray. And finally got to connect with Dakota. And so, yeah, it's one of those things where like they've been there, like doing the thing in Iowa forever. It's in my neck of the woods where I'm from.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't aware for a long time. And now, yeah. So definitely check out TV Cop, Gunk Lung, Hand Me Down, which is Illinois now, but would be Iowa. Display Case. Oh my gosh, what was the other one you said? Because I've seen them on TikTok and I've talked to them.
New Neighbors.
New Neighbors, yes, New Neighbors as well.
New Neighbors, because I mean that features Day One homies with from Catholic Werewolves and Easy Mark, obviously Zach Suter and good old Ron. I can't think of his last name, but good old Ron.
Ron.
But like those dudes have killed it for the longest time. It's I've told them both in separate conversations that it's nice to see the homies like hit the right groove almost,
Right, yeah,
of just
yeah.
like getting that right traction that I feel like everyone finally and fully deserves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's nice to see the light kind of shine on the Iowa scene, and obviously, like I said, Matt Prince in Gunklung has been kind of doing the same thing that obviously if you're fans of Full Blown Meltdown and what they're doing and how they're promoting other bands. Gunklung is another band to check out, and he does like a weekly kind of breakdown as to new shit that's kind of coming out as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, if anyone's listening, go check out TV Cop, go check out New Neighbors, Gunklung, hit up the homies in Display Case. And I know there's a bunch of other bands right now that are killing it in Iowa.
Yep.
I unfortunately live in Minnesota now, so I'm not as in tune to the Iowa scene as it's going on. But for everyone in Iowa or looking for Iowa bands, just see who else is on those flyers. Go check them out. I think there's like Blist Her is I've heard good things about, and there's a few other handful of bands that are honestly killing it. I think there's one venue maybe in Des Moines that you, usually with the price of entry you get like a free grilled cheese that I've heard of. Which is pretty sick.
That shows how out of touch I am because I don't know what that is, and I'm in Des Moines, but I believe that I know there's a new place called Locals that's doing stuff. Oh, and just to shout out Iowa too. I don't know if you remember, Michael, but there's a band called Sundance Kid that used to play like it was Jesse's old band. They're back, but they're just called Sundance now.
Okay.
But it's very like Me Without You, Touche Amore ish. Like post-hardcore kind of stuff with some other influences, but also Iowa, also very good. And then Betty at the Helm is just this like solo guy that I saw opening for a show, and he's from Des Moines, and it was very good. Like reminded me of some like Hotelier stuff, but like solo, obviously, and stripped down. But I think that's one worth keeping an eye on for sure.
Okay. Hell yeah. Well, see, Iowa's not just cornfields for people listening.
No. I mean, it's mostly cornfields, but there's also
it's mostly cornfields, and then it makes sense as to why there's so much emo music. And if you really think about it,
yeah. What else are we supposed to do?
Exactly. So I know. This whole thing was on my tangent to try and lead us out. I got two things from that I mentioned earlier from the good old Louis that everyone loves. The little bundle of joy that I gotta kind of get out here or just like pick your brain a little bit, and it might tangent into something else. Like I said, this episode could be 5 hours long that I would not give a shit because just honestly, the conversation has been amazing.
It has.
I'm almost
I've-
done with this
I've-
second Four Loco. I'm almost eight Four Loco.
Eight Loco, Michael.
Eight
Let's
Loco.
go.
It's crazy. I grabbed another beer just in case. Who knows?
It's like an Iowa tailgate. We're just doing an Iowa tailgate just with bands.
Again,
It's okay.
Again, the whole premise for this was me and Brian were tired of hearing our own stories from the van because, newsflash, we were in the van together.
Just back and forth forever.
Yeah. And I'd be like, Brian, I heard this. I was there. So we were like, well, let's go hang it up our homies. So we started the podcast. We're like, let's go branch out. I became new homies with TV Cop and like just meeting new people, getting back into the scene. So I'm happy we got to do this one. But yeah, Louis' questions. He gave me a couple prompts to ask.
Okay. I'm excited to hear this.
So the first one is, let me get that nipple.
Okay. That's so fun. Okay. So we were recording. So part of the record was recorded with Brett Roms at the Barbershop Studios in New Jersey. That is where, like, this is the best way I love to describe it. That is where Breaking Benjamin recorded the album Phobia, which is the sickest shit ever. I fucking love that record. And then the other part was with Gary Cioni, kind of like still in New Jersey technically, I think, but close to Philly. But ultimately, we had an off day where, like, yeah, we just had an off day and went to like New York City. And we were just kind of walking around, and I think it was a guy selling stuff or something. But he just looked at me and he's like, yo, let me get that nipple. And he reaches out and he just kind of like grabs and flicks my nipple and then releases. And I'm like, I'm not a very confrontational person, and not many things make me angry. So I straight up was just like, what? Like, what the fuck? And I straight up don't like really, because I was just processing that some guy just like was like, yo, let me get that nipple. But yeah, no conflict, no conversation, just a guy touching my nipple on the streets of New York City. It was
Which
incredible.
is wild because the last time I was in New York City, it was like around Christmas time. All I got offered was Rolexes. Rolex. You want a Rolex?
Yeah.
No one offered it. No one offered to touch these nips, which is crazy. It was around Christmas time. They would have been nice and primed.
That's
I don't know.
That's true. I should be grateful, if anything, that I got a free nipple grab for $0.
You know what I did get roped into. Obviously, people have fallen to this scam, possibly in Times Square. Is the guys that come up to you and give you a copy of their EP or album, and they're like, "Yo, that's for free, but I needed that donation though."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yo, give me some money," and I'm like, "But you just gave this to me." They're like, "But you got to give me something," and I'm just like, "Can I give you the CD back?" And they're like, "No, you've taken that." And I'm like, "You're not even going to grab these nips?" And they didn't grab the nips. It's just wild.
No, if that's the thing. I low key, I'm upset now because if he would have offered me a CD for the nipple touch, easy.
Yeah,
Give
that's
me that
true.
CD,
He needed to
touch
give
the
you at
nipple.
least something for the nip touch.
Exactly. But I had that similar experience, but it was with, oh man, it was at Warped Tour or something, where I would leave my car and there were people selling, like, what's it called? The Bodhisattva or something, whatever the, like, a text about Buddhism is.
Oh, yeah.
And he put it in my hand. I looked at it. I said, cool, man. And he said, I'm going to need $20.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want it. And he said, you're going to give me $20. And I gave him $20.
Oh no, I felt I think I still have that book somewhere. It's probably at my parents' house at this point. But I fell to that same one when I was at Ames at Iowa State. I was walking back to my dorm and some guy stopped me and I was just like, "Okay, cool, you're gonna give me this book." And he's like, "No, but I need money for it." And I was like, okay. And then I just like handed him money as the naive kid that I was.
Yeah,
and
you're
just
like,
walked away.
Take it and leave me alone. It's almost more like a cost to just like leave me alone, you know, like
A little bit, yeah.
I didn't know you went to Iowa State.
Just for my freshman year.
Oh, okay. So that's why we wouldn't have crossed paths. Okay.
Which,
'Cause I
which is
went-
funny because so I went to Iowa State for my freshman year, and then I went to Kirkwood for, I'd say, sophomore to junior year. I ended up dropping out entirely
Okay.
or whatever. But when we went to go play the barn, I thought it was so funny because the barn was literally a block and a half from the dorm room that I lived at on campus, and I was like, there was emo music this close to where I was sleeping that
It
I
was
could have
right
just
there.
I could have found shit. And I didn't find it until 2013. That was like 2011 when I lived at Iowa State.
Oh, that makes sense. How old are you? Are you 34?
I'm 33 right now. I'll be 34 at the end of the year.
Okay, gotcha. That checks out because I went to community college and then my junior year went to Iowa State. And
Okay.
so you would have left like a year and a half, 2 years before I got there.
Yep.
That's crazy though. You were so close to
So
being
close.
part of like Iowa's core emo scene for a few years.
Literally, when we played the barn, I left the show to walk to Jeff's Pizza to grab a pizza, and then I walked back because I had such fond memories of Jeff's Pizza when I was
Yeah.
at Iowa State.
So good.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I was going to get that on my way back from Des Moines today, but we decided to do this over Zoom, so I didn't get Jeff's Pizza today. But I'm not going to
bummer.
hold that against you. That's okay.
You could have came. I would have vacuumed. It would have been great. It would
Low key, I probably would have. I would have loved to, but I'm also low key kind of happy that I got to sleep in instead of not drive 3 hours.
That's valid. It is. It is.
But-
I mean, round trip 7 hours. So
Yeah,
it's,
which I've done before because I drove to Ames and did was it the first Bouquet episode
ooh,
when they came on? I think I drove
makes
to
sense.
I think I drove to Ames because it was either Bouquet or no it was either Bouquet or Redcoat. I did one of those in person.
oh, red coat.
And I drove to Ames, did it. We recorded for like probably 2 hours, and then I drove back to Minneapolis. And my roommates at the time were like, "The fuck are you doing?" And I'm like, "I just wanted to get out of the house." Like honestly,
It's something. Yeah. No, that's so real. I mean, it's
Yeah.
good. It's good to get out of the house. That's crazy.
my other prompt from Louis is, where in Canada is Iowa?
Where in Canada is Iowa? Wait, this sounds like more like a riddle than a prompt.
It might be. This was probably 2 a.m. when I wrote this down, at least. After a show and plus beers.
Okay.
Is what because I asked him and I wrote down, let me get that nipple, and then where in Canada is Iowa. He said that you would know. And I was
There's
like, okay.
I feel like that. Okay, so here's the thing. If there's anything I've realized over the past 10 years of being in Stars Hollow, it's that my memory is bad. And I don't know if that's like intentional or unintentional, but like Jesse will bring up tour stories and either I remember it vividly or I don't remember it at all. And so there's a very big chance that the where is Canada and Iowa was part of the nipple thing
It could be.
that I just don't remember after because he might have been like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "Iowa," and he was like, "Where in Canada is that?" Because Ottawa, obviously. So that's possible, or I could see it being Gary who recorded the guitars and vocals and bass for the record. I could see that being something he would say too. But I would venture to guess it was the nipple thing, but that I blocked out after the initial nipple contact
Okay.
and being like, that's hilarious though. That those are the two things Louis contributed. And for the record, I did offer it because we have this podcast, Emo Anonymous,
Of course.
and what's the other one? There's a Magic the Gathering podcast that I'm going to be on, which is weird.
That sounds sick. Which is
and
weird. Which I want to just interlude intrude, not interlude, because it's a whole different thing. I just want to say it's wild that it's not like a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. It's a Magic the Gathering podcast.
You're telling me. Side tangent. Sorry, I keep going on these.
No. This is your time to do those side tangents. I don't give a fuck on the time limit of this episode. I'm gonna put it out. I paid for a subscription to Zoom. I don't give a fuck what's happening.
Let's go. Yeah, so I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player mostly. That's like I've watched. I played Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid. Loved it. Very nostalgic. Got back into it during the pandemic. I watched tons of content about it. I've played in tournaments. I'm not like great, but I do really love it. I got into playing Commander for Magic the Gathering recently because I was number one, I was invited to like a group because I was buying cards and I shared with a coworker that I bought like the Avatar the Last Airbender like collector set. And he was like, "Oh, you should come play Commander with us." And it's like 8 or 9 guys every Thursday. So we get a couple of pods going. And so I've started to be very into Commander because it is more social and more accessible than Yu-Gi-Oh! But I feel like an imposter because at the table the whole time I'm like, I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. I'm thinking about this with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain. So yeah, and it's one of those things where I'm probably after that podcast comes out, I'm gonna put like link it to my play group and be like, hey, and I just know most of them are gonna be like, what the fuck? Why is he on a podcast? He sucks at Commander. And so I'm gonna have to very much preface it with, this is because the podcast host has listened to my band for 10 years.
Which is again wild because there was a time period there where you would throw in, wasn't it Yu-Gi-Oh cards into some orders that would be shipped out?
Yep, I would. So my whole desk, actually, this is funny. Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic cards. I have Pokemon cards around here somewhere. But this is also where I package orders, like for our smaller orders after tours and stuff. And so, yeah, literally I'll pack orders, put a sticker in, grab a card, throw it in. And yeah, it's one of those weird things that like people appreciate in a weird way, even if they don't like Yu-Gi-Oh, because it's like, oh, a real person did this.
It's something different that you're getting thrown in. Like they took the time to throw in a full card. Like that means something.
Exactly. And I've always appreciated when I get stuff from labels or people or whatever. Like Sweetwater, if I order music gear, they send me candy also. Yeah. And it's just a small thing, but yeah, you're spot on. Yu-Gi-Oh cards have been for the most part like what I put in with stuff. And now I'll probably mix in like Magic cards and other stuff. Side note, I bought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Universes Beyond Commander set. I hate Universes Beyond, but a lot of value in here. So that's my little side tangent about that. I'm sorry, this is such a side tangent episode.
Dude, but I like I said, there's no time limit. I love everything about this. I'm getting everything before all the other podcasts get what they come to.
That is true. You're getting the Four Loko unfiltered lore content, whereas with them I'll be like, oh, I gotta think about if I want to say this.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's Michael, whatever. Exactly. I'm just gonna say it.
I'm a homie at this point.
You're a homie, absolutely. That's because honestly, that exit tour, both with Survival and with Stars, were two of within probably the top 5 favorite tours of all time.
Because for one, that tour with Survival, that was the first time that you guys have gotten out of Iowa.
Ever. That was the first time I went beyond Branson, Missouri.
Yeah. And one, I hate all of Survival for one specific moment, and I've talked about this multiple times, is when we stayed in Georgia, we played at His Rock, which we came to find out was a religious based record store,
which makes sense in retrospect.
In retrospect, it makes sense. Which, funny enough, I recently sat out with this band called. Oh man, I don't want to butcher their name, so I gotta look this. Look this up real quick. because I don't want to be an asshole. And my shit's big fucking slow. I sat down with. Oh my god, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? I sat down with the band Great White Nothing from like the Atlanta area. They had actually known they were the first band in 276 episodes. Their episode was 277 that had known about His Rock because they had played there.
That's crazy.
Wild. But it was a record store, religious based, but they still had everything. But that night that we were gonna sleep in like the Atlanta area, the Survival Soundtrack team was like, "Yo, let's go sleep at this campground and let's camp out."
Joel was big on camping. Yeah.
And us and Exit were like, "This sounds fucking terrible." So we still went through with it. We still pulled up. We still backed in the van and trailer into the spot. A lot of the team between the two bands went swimming. Turned out there'd be leeches. I just gotta say, as someone that was sleeping quietly in the van, I may have chuckled a little bit.
Well, Lincoln, because Lincoln was drumming for Exit on that tour, right? Yep. I remember Lincoln.
Shout out Lincoln.
Yeah, shout out Lincoln. I remember because Lincoln, it was like Lincoln, TK, me, Jameson. I feel like Wyatt was probably there.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, that checks out. That's so funny because that whole tour because Survival because we're for Exit and Stars we were together right in the same van, but the Survival tour
Exit Stars separate vans
okay because I remember that was a weird fucking tour because Joel wanted to camp out a lot because he had that Boy Scout experience of like I know these places, which worked out 80% of the time. 20% of the time it was like getting leeches when you're swimming together and it's a whole thing. But and then because on that tour it was funny because one time we like went to go stay with someone that TK knew and was like, yeah, you guys can come stay here. Knew them from like Tumblr or something like weird. And it was like they never responded after the initial like, yeah, you can stay here. And we had to sleep like in the van in like the heat and misery. So I mean that tour I think was full of lots of like questionable sleeping decisions. So
there was I do want to point out. So there was that one mainly because it was the summer still in Georgia that we decided to camp out, which sucked. But yeah, like we were always like one day off from each other because like we never stayed at the same spot. That was the only time I think that we stayed at like the same spot because like it really sparked from the Louisville show where all the bands dropped the day of. You guys took off. We stayed with Puckett. We like Exit eventually got signed or whatever.
Yeah.
But from there, we never stayed at the same spot, except for the time that we stayed. I think it was like northern Georgia, where Exit recorded one of their EPs. We all stayed at the same spot, and I will say this to the day that I fucking die, mainly because this dude doesn't listen to this podcast, and I don't give a fuck. And I've had 2 Four Locos. These are both
let
empty.
it out, baby. Let it out.
And I'm onto a Pilsner. Fucking shout out El Salvador. But like I was supposed to get a bed that night, and then I go into the room, and our fucking bass player took the bed. So what did I have to do? I got shafted. I had to sleep in the kitchen on a concrete floor. Why? I drove the fucking van. Why should I get a concrete floor?
Dude, I think okay.
Oh my god.
Dude, that's the worst. Okay, I've wondered this for a long time. So when Stars tours, even to this day, I drive, I'm not kidding, 99% of the time.
Yep.
The only time that I don't drive is when I am like feel like I'm literally going to pass out and then I let M drive for a little bit.
Okay.
I have forever had this like mentality of who drives gets sleeping spot.
Yeah,
priority.
100%.
And I think that I must have gotten that from Exit and from you guys. Because it sounds like that was like the assumption was like, I drove, I did all this work, I deserve a bed.
Yeah.
And like, I think that that's why I drive all the time. I'm like, I want to make sure I have a bed, even though we play. Like, we're not like a diva band. We don't make that much money, but we make enough that we can sleep in a hotel.
Right. But still, there's times where a hotel is a little bit like on that borderline. Like, do we want to spend those expenses?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
If we get a place to stay, who should sleep where?
Who gets where? And ultimately, Andrew, love him to death, one of my best friends in this world. He is a diva. And I remember one time we played in, actually, TJ, TJ Wilt brought up, he remembered when we played with my old man Porch Swing. We played a show in Minneapolis and we were going to sleep somewhere. And Andrew was like, we were like, okay, Andrew, you can sleep here. And he was like, I wouldn't sleep on my fucking, I wouldn't sleep with my fucking girlfriend on this couch. And said it like loudly in front of the people. Said it loudly in front of the people who were like offering us this wonderful place to stay. Wonderful. But I feel like between that and then Andrew's like kind of like I want to be comfortable, which is fair and I agree with, has very much shaped my I drive all the time so that I can make sure I have somewhere comfy to sleep. And I would agree with you. If I was in that situation, I drove all day. I worked my ass off because like I respect as a member of the band that also does what you were doing at that time. What you were doing is harder than what the band was doing. So if you needed any validation, here it is. Because as someone who does the merch and plays, I play for 30 minutes, and I set up and that's annoying. But like the merch is like, I have to like present myself as like, oh dude, thank you so much. Like I have to put on this mask of like over appreciation, even though I do appreciate it that much. It's still like, I have to put on this like customer serviceness,
Oh, yeah.
You had to do that and drive. So you deserved that. You deserve that fucking bed.
Yeah.
Fuck that. You shouldn't have been on the floor.
Yeah. I'm gonna dive a smidge deeper before, like I know we're way over most people thought this was gonna go.
Fuck it.
And again, like I said, I don't give a fuck. Like this could be a 10-hour podcast. I don't give a fuck. But oh my god, you got me in the moment. You got me 8 Loco deep in the moment.
8 Loco deep, baby. Let's go.
This same because I know he doesn't listen to this podcast, so I don't. Even if he did, I don't give a fuck. But
I remember him. I don't know his name, but I remember who you're talking about.
Yeah. So he would sit in the shotgun seat with his phone plugged in the entire time, with specifications that he needed to have his phone charged to, as another member did on our final run, say that they needed to do it for navigation wise. But really, it was just so he could FaceTime and Snapchat his girlfriend the entire ride, having full battery, and he would just screenshot every single shit that she would send. Fast forward, and again, I'm 8 Loco deep, and 3/4, like a quarter Pilsner. Pilsner is a Salvadoran beer. This is a sponsorship. They don't sponsor me, but that'd be sick. My dad's from El Salvador, but being that far deep, they're no longer together, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but he did all that shit in the time period because they were a happy couple, and it was just annoying. And I was like, "Why is this dude in the front seat the entire time?" But yeah, he stole a bunk from me at the recording studio where we stayed at, and I had to sleep on a legit smoothed out concrete floor that is in the kitchen.
Yeah,
I didn't get a couch because I didn't bitch to be like, yo, so and so is sleeping on a couch. I should sleep on a couch because we're all in this. Yeah, I'm on my van. I was supposed to get a bunk in the room. And the dude from my band took that bed, and I just sucked it up and slept on a concrete floor in a kitchen.
Dude, here's the thing. We're giving the real band experience that people don't truly understand fully.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Like,
this was also at a time where we didn't have fucking passes to Anytime or whatever
yeah, like Planet
fitness
Fitness or
Planet
whatever.
Fitness, yeah. So it was like, oh, if you're you're gonna shower when you get the chance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not gonna shower for like X amount of days.
Yeah. Well, and I'll give Joel his flowers here. The campgrounds that we stayed at with Survival always had showers.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'll give him. But that's so, oh man. I think sometimes I think about like, and this is like the 30-year-old white dude podcast kind of thing. Sometimes I wish that I could make a podcast with like people who were touring back in like 2015, like you, or if I had Jesse or like even Wyatt for like some of that.
I can do spin-offs of. We can do this any day of the week.
We should. We honestly should because like it was so different and it gives such a perspective on like just the way things were.
Well, so I was talking about this on a recent podcast, Times Construct, with Enswell. I think the Enswell podcast for the single will come out before this one, where we're talking about being on tour, and I in that one I listening back to it as I've done my edits for it because it took me way longer than I needed to because there were so many tangents. I think I misspoke in that one where I said that touring now is harder than it was back then. But I think touring now is easier than it was back then because back then, like I mentioned, I literally quit a job to go tour for X amount of weeks. We didn't have the accessibility to do a Planet Fitness membership to go shower when we needed to. It was more shower when you can. It was more, hey, if you know someone in this area, you get to stay there. If not, sleep in your van, go fuck yourself. Basically, and all that aspect. It was kind of crazy.
I think that it's a weird thing where you're kind of right in both situations. Like on one hand, I think it is harder to tour now because financially it's fucking insane. Like when Stars started, we would sell t-shirts for $10 a t-shirt. And that was like fine. We could do that and get gas money and make it to the next show no problem. Nowadays, like to print a t-shirt, it's like at least like 10. So you have to charge 20 to make it make sense. And then you have to hope that people think that your band was worth the $20 of buying the merch,
Yeah.
I think my perspective is a little warped by the fact that like I'm trying to think of how to put this. Because on one hand, I recognize Stars Hollow in terms of streaming, in terms of numbers on paper for people listening to our music on Spotify and whatnot, is not impressive. Like, if I show it to a coworker, they're like, "Oh, Tadpole has 1.5 million listens. That's cool," and that is cool. Like, I am proud of that. But everything else, it's like a mishmash of like, oh, people like the song, people don't. On the other hand, merch wise, merch and vinyl, we do great on. Like, not necessarily like to the level of like let's say Prince Daddy and the Hyena put out a record tomorrow, they'd be killing it compared to us.
But you guys have always been, I feel like, consistent on like, hey, I'm buying whatever you had on the shirts for. I'm paying for this so Stars Hollow can do their LP1 or whatever the fuck bullshit it was. You have it right now.
I bought this
LP.
shirt, so
There's
Stars
the LP2
Hollow
ones.
can
Yeah.
afford to release LP2, which I'm sending. I'll put the leftovers into orders for people who pre-ordered LP2.
Which one is fucking insane that people would like? I mean, insane, obviously in the best way that people would buy those to be like, fuck yes, I want to support this band in everything they're doing because obviously, Prince Andy could do those, Origami Andrew could do those, Charmer could do those, or whatever.
Yeah,
would it be the same as Stars Hollow doing those?
right. I think like Well, I mean, one side of like these like dumb shirts that's helpful is we did it for LP1.
Yeah.
We did it from when I wrecked our minivan. And which shouts out like that helped me cover my insurance deductible and like got me like out of that clean basically.
Yeah.
And then did it for this LP2, which granted for LP2 like it didn't cover what we still owed, but it helped absolutely. But ultimately to say that like streaming numbers for us aren't always the most like staggering thing of like, oh my God, like 20,000 people. Like we don't get put onto editorial playlists. We never have. Never, ever, ever have we been put on like a this is emo playlist. But the moment that we dropped Casper, we had enough pre-orders within like 48 hours to cover vinyl, like to cover the cost of our vinyl pressing. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm getting a little emotional talking about it. In the grand
More,
scheme of
more
things,
emotional.
yeah, like it's fine. We're four locos deep. In the grand scheme, we spent a lot of money to make this record happen. Girl math, the record, the money to spend on recording doesn't exist to me anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's whatever. We made that money ourselves or through our tour with Michael Sarah Palin through merch, and it's paid off. It's done. It doesn't exist to me anymore. I was stressed about the money that it cost to press the records. Within 48 hours of Casper existing, we covered the cost of that. I'm getting emotional. And like that's all I can really ask for. Because like being in a band, like you could just release your stuff and just put it out into streaming, and someday it won't exist anymore. But with like records and like merch and like physical stuff, that's like what lasts, you know? Like I can buy a record at a record store that's been around since like the 60s or something, you know? And I can hope that like someday like my great grandkids could go to a record store if it's still like some level of like interesting and be like, holy shit, this is my great grandfather's record that he put out in 20, like between 2015 and 2030. And I think that's very cool. And I think that like as a band, we've gotten on such a big tangent with this, but just
I literally don't care. Just keep going.
but
You're good.
but just as a band, like it's just so. I think that you find a point where like your values and your priorities are a little different, and I would rather someone care enough to spend $25 on a record that I put so much into than stream it twice, put it on a playlist, and move on with their life. You know. And I think these shirts and just like merch and just some things like in that regard are really where like the heart of Stars Hollow lies. In people that care enough to support it beyond the initial consumption. You know, I don't even remember how we got here, but ultimately to say that, yeah, I mean, it's like touring is different now in a lot of ways. And one thing that has helped Stars Hollow so much over the years has always been that people care enough to buy the stuff that lasts or that is beyond the 2 minutes of the song, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my spiel about that.
Yeah, I also don't remember what I asked to get to this point. Like I said, I would honestly let this episode be fucking unlimited hours. Mainly because I'm so happy to see a day one homie keep growing and accomplishing the bucket list items, so to speak, or dreams. Obviously, you've done vinyl, you've done tapes, you've toured Japan, which the amount of bands in the current scene they get to say that is It's astronomical that they don't get to say that.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild. The time that you got to do that, I remember. I don't know if I texted Thomas or Brian. I was just like, dude, this is fucking wild right now. Like seeing you get to do this, like in such the highest regard. Literally being a part of this journey from the beginning, like we talked about, that
Yeah.
March 15th, 2015,
Literally beginning. Yeah.
which is exactly the beginning. That is the first inclination of Stars Hollow. We had kind of heard rumors that I think at that point you guys were doing something, and I mean you at that point I think you had already done Robinson, maybe,
Yeah. Yeah. We
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
which again is wild that for for people listening, Tyler from Stars Hollow was one in a straight pop punk band doing kind of twinkly ass shit with Jameson Messerschmidt, which is also one of the greatest guitar players from Iowa
Yep.
to this day. I will say
Absolutely.
that to the day I die.
Oh, it's true.
You,
Yeah.
you two is incredible. Doing Robinson and that whole life in there, branching off to Stars Hollow. I think recently you posted about possibly doing maybe another side project, but whatever you do is always going to be gold.
Thank you, man.
Like respectfully, like everything you've done has been so amazing, and it's been great just to watching you grow from everything all across these years. Being a friend, watching you go to Japan and live so many people's dreams of being able to tour Japan, do all that stuff, and come back and be part of not just the current emo scene, but just the overall emo scene. Obviously, Michael Cera Palin, Charmer, they all these bands that have been quote unquote like established have giving you like props in some sort of ways. Obviously, like we talked about, you took the time to go to school and finish your master's degree and do all that stuff, and like people still give a shit about you, which rightfully so they should, because everyone in the Iowa scene respects you and loves what you do. But it's so amazing to see what you've taken from it and what you've become from it.
Thank you.
A Logo Steve, like I love everything. It's been so fun to watch it from afar and be a part of, it. But I'm so happy for you and what Stars Hollow has become.
Dude, thank you. I mean, on the flip side, seeing you start this podcast after knowing you from TMing Exit, just it's been so cool to see you grow. Number one in I think you just know how to talk to bands because you've been close to it and part of it versus someone who's a fan. You're a fan, but also you have that like experience of like living it, you know. And I think that makes such a big difference and is so important and is why like people like me who have been in bands can still enjoy listening to it because it's not like I don't know if you remember like Brian Stars back in the day, like trying to interview like fucking it's not like that. It's not like, oh, so if you were a tortilla shell, what shape would you be or something, you know? Like like you get real with it. You understand like the struggle of it and the fact that it's a labor of love and not just one of like pure enjoyment or pure like there's no monetary gain sometimes, like you understand it for what it is and I appreciate that and yeah, and I just wanted to put out there that I appreciate that and that makes my I don't know, like my world of how I've experienced Stars Hollow over the years. It's easier for me to be like real about that because you understand that, you
Yeah.
know. Because yeah, I mean, almost 11 years now. It's a lot, and it's a lot of time, and it really is like very fulfilling and healing in a way to be able to talk to someone who was there for the start of it. Because, nowadays, like most of the people who were there are either like working corporate jobs for like an insurance company and they like don't care anymore, or like they sort of remember, but it's not like their life now. And it's just
Yep.
nice to talk to someone who was there for that beginning. Um, so I just wanted to give you your flowers on that I appreciate that you lived it and that you know what you're talking about, and that makes it so much easier to be real with you about this kind of stuff.
One, I appreciate that so much. I know Brian, who's hopefully gonna listen to this episode. I know he
He
will for
better, I
sure.
swear to God.
He fucking better. I officiated that dude's wedding. He better fucking listen to this episode.
True.
But Brian Stars was a high, and I say high key point as to one of the reasons, besides just us wanting to connect with our friends and homies from past, as to why we wanted to do this episode, because we were tired of listening to a person say, "What would your stripper name be?" And we wanted to be like, "Yo, what are you actually working on right now? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Like, what's
So
the real shit? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I appreciate that so much. But like literally, I know there's been hints, conversations. I might have brought them up a lot of times. Not says necessarily in this episode, but this might be the final year of Beers of Bands. But like,
Shit. Okay.
but I'm very happy that we got to fucking finally do this after 6.5, 7 years. Not to say you're a bucket list item that I've wanted to have on, but you're a bucket list item I've wanted to have on. Not just because you guys are putting out good tunes and ripping with every release that you guys do, but in general, you've always been a solid friend of the scene, solid homie, and honestly, like the tunes are always fucking solid. Like literally, like I said early in the episode, for people that are still fucking in this, I told Caleb literally a week, 2 weeks ago, Times Construct. This is in end of February. We're already in February. Fuck. Time. Oh, time's weird.
It
But
is a construct.
yeah, but I was talking with Caleb from Hey I Love You at a show, and I told him that I was gonna have you on the show, and just how much like it means to me in general, because yeah, my first tour was with Exit Emergency. We did 2 weeks by ourselves, 2 weeks with Serato Soundtrack, which again, check out Serato Soundtrack. But you were part of that first tour. My final tour, you again were part of that. You mean so much to me and to really what I'm doing in the music scene in general. And I'm so happy to have watched from afar you just keep growing and Stars Hollow keep growing, and becoming what it is in today's time.
Hell yeah. Thank you, man. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, no, I mean, like, it's past 7 years, and you said that it theoretically could be approaching the end. Um, and I like not to doomer anything, but like I think about that about stars a lot. Like, when is it going to end? When does it make sense for me to like separate this part of my identity from me? And sometimes I think about like maybe it's past that point and I should have done it sooner, but maybe like this is what I was supposed to be doing, and after this record, maybe that'll be it. But ultimately, to say that like I feel you, that like even if something's important and amazing, sometimes you have to you know do what you got to do, and either let it go or just let it be what it was. And and yeah, ultimately just to say like I'm just very glad we had this conversation. And granted, it was probably like 2 hours longer than you expected or, or wanted it to be, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just something special when you have that connection in the past with someone that was like formative to who we are.
Yeah.
Like I would not be the same person if both of those exit tours hadn't happened. You know, and so I think it's very important, and amazing that we were able to make this happen. Because I think both for at least I can say for Stars Hollow, I think this is an important thing as far as like in a way immortalizing the history of it, you know? Because yeah, I mean, if you put it down to the bare bones, I would not be the same if we had not interacted, you know? And I think that's just worth putting out there. Yeah. Under one Four Loco deep for me and two Four Locos deep from you. Shouts out.
And no, 100%. Like I appreciate you so much and everything that Stars is doing. I gotta do a quick callback to our times on that final tour and say, what are the odds that you would tell us where to find Stars Hollow merch, music, and music? Merch, music, and Stars Hollow in general. Where can we find it?
What are the odds? I forgot that was such a thing on that tour. What are the odds?
Sage Weaver ate a full receipt in a Taco Bell fucking lobby on that tour.
That was so. Oh my god, I forgot about that. That's so funny. So the odds are 100% that you'll find Stars Hollow music wherever you stream it. We have music all the way back from 2016. Potentially at some point we might release demos from before that. We'll see. And then if you want to pre-order stuff for kind of, well, by the time this comes out, order stuff for kind of hoping and to support us in general. It's all at starshollowia.com. No label involved. If you want to buy like older records, I think acrobatunstable.com has in the flower bed Maybe I Want to Live My Life, because I think they did a repressing of it recently. That I totally forgot about until I said this. I need to put those in our store because we have some too. Anyway, yes, starshollowia.com for anything new, acrobatunstable.com for something a little bit older, anywhere that you stream music for anything else.
Hell yeah. Well, depending on where you found this episode, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, or the YouTube version, you get to see Tyler's lovely face like I did today. Make sure to take the hyperlinks down below. Go follow Stars Hollow on all the social links. Be ready for new music, new tours, new shows, all that fun stuff. I know you guys are playing Midwest Friends Fest end of May, and then also George Fest, which is kind of like end of May as well. I think they follow like a week or two behind each other. I forgot to write them down in my notes.
Oh, you're good.
But
we have a tour in general happening around that time. It hasn't been announced yet, but I mean,
by the time this episode comes out, I think that it should be announced, right?
Yeah, by then, yes, we'll be playing a bunch of shows with Palette Knife.
Ooh,
and then,
fuck.
And then a couple of shows with Kerosene Heights. And
oh my god.
And then along with like some fests, some things might be shifting around, but yep, we'll play some shows to promote what's going on. Absolutely.
So all of you that are listening, if you haven't gotten tickets already, make sure you get your tickets to all of those shows, because I'm sure they're going to be fucking bangers. Because oh my god, Palette Knife, Kerosene Heights, Kerosene Heights. Oh my god, Palette Knife in general, the new shit. Get your tickets.
Sleep paralysis for breakfast, baby. Hell yeah,
dude. Exactly. And then get some corn for that, and then that'll lead you into Stars Hollow. But
exactly
in general, dude, one last thank you to Tyler Stotchill, the homie, the end of the day man, day one dude, for taking the time out of your schedule to sit with me and talk about your band.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Like for real. I think I don't know. Like being a mental health counselor, a lot of my life is like carrying the weight from other people and just like being like, okay, like can't talk about my stuff. And I just appreciate you for giving me the space and time to talk about something I care about a lot. Because you could talk to any band. You could have used this time for anything, and you used it for me. So I appreciate that more than anything, for real.
Dude, 100%. Like you have literally an open door anytime you want to express more Stars Hollow knowledge onto us, the door is always open. I know for people listening that are diehard Stars Hollows fans, this is a longer episode than normal to kind of dig through, but this is definitely one. Like I said at the beginning, this is 6.5, almost 7 years in the making.
Yeah.
I wanted Tyler, I wanted Stars Hollow on the show for a long time, and I'm happy that it's finally happened with. I'm like I said, I'm 2 Locos deep, so I got to make sure I have this album right. With Kind of Hoping, so everyone, please go listen to Kind of Hoping if you haven't already. If there's any albums left, go get your vinyl press, and just be ready for everything that they have coming next. Be ready for their upcoming tours and everything like that. Dude, Tyler, thank you so much for doing this, and I love you so much for taking the time. And I'll catch everyone on the next episode.
Thank you.
See you.
Yes, we've been